live now. No, it's not. It's. Have we got any music playing? There we go. Okay, so. Oh, I got gifted a subscription to Sea of Thieves France. Art. Open. That lets me see what's going on in the world. When you've got a list to go through. 26, sorry. But remember, one of them is looks like a town. Oh, where are you? I need to get your okay, I've got two people that aren't ranked, but I will get ranked soon. They're on the second page, I feel like. But no, I'm fine. I can do this while we chat. We have. Where's the viewer? 3 viewers. I'm guessing you, me, and a random one. Yes, it could be a bot to be fair, but make a difference. Nonsense. Ah, simple as that. Good evening, viewers. Buckle up, this should be a good one. Oh, we lost our third viewer. I'm guessing you were looking at Rusty Hammer and Harlequins. Gentlemen.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to our stream, our second stream ever. Hopefully this one will record correctly, unlike what it did last time, but that's another story altogether. Thank you for joining us. Just to introduce myself, my name is Paul. I'm your host this evening, alongside my co-host here, and my rules guru, and my stats fella, Jason. Good evening, Jason.
Hello, everyone.
So we are going to be reviewing the QOC4 stats reviews. Before we do that, I just want to do a quick apology to Savage Hammer. We were meant to do a post-review show for your tournament that we attended last weekend, and unfortunately, due to family commitments, that kind of went out the window a little bit. Needless to say, though, that we're not going to be doing it. It will just be taking place next Tuesday. So do bear with us, and apologies that it's slightly later than we planned, but it will definitely happen. We're going to dive straight into this. We've got 26 lists, I believe it is, that we'll be reviewing this evening. And in that, we'll be taking it from the aspect of a very neutral point. We won't show any kind of bias to the armies that we do like or do not like. We'll be purely providing you with the information so you know what to expect should you be attending the tournament this weekend. What I will now do will just take us into some information about the actual tournament itself. So, here we are. It is the Quest of Champions round 4. So they have had 3 rounds before this. This is their 4th and final round before they then proceed into further eliminations. It is run by Dan Buchanan and the Warrior Lodge team. I've never actually attended any of their tournaments, but we have a few of our Rusty Nukes group who have attended and do attend. We have actually Kieran Bailey attending for us from our team this coming weekend. So good luck to Kieran on that one. They are located in Sutton in Coldfield here in UK. Yeah, there's not too much to say about that at all. It is a 2-day tournament with 5 rounds, and as like I said, we have 26 attendees. Now, unlike normal tournaments where you get to be pre-warned or prepared with battle plans, they've taken a slightly original twist to theirs. And what they actually do, they actually draw it on the day. And to add a little bit of spark to it all and everything, they actually apparently have a giant wheel that they spin on, and it pulls out their battle plans. So slightly original. Never seen one like that before, but I'm sure it adds a little bit of originality and amusement, especially when you get those battle plans that really could be quite hard. And speaking with Dan actually on Twitter earlier on, he was also saying that they actually would also do like spot prizes at the tournaments for things like the first person to lose their general and similar sort of fun kind of niches there. So yeah, kind of a few good things to be throwing in on that one. Like I said, it's happening this weekend. And without further ado, let's get into this, shall we? So then, we are here. Now, at the same time, whilst we're going through these lists, if you have any questions, comments, thoughts, or views on this, drop it into the chat window, and we'll definitely pick up on it, and hopefully we'll be able to answer it or respond to you. Jason, are you ready to go, sir?
Yep.
Fantastic. We shall then start with Al Roberts. He is playing Slaves to Darkness, Knights of the Empty Throne. So, here we go then. He is Slaves to Darkness. The subfaction is Knights of the Empty Throne, which for all of those who may not be aware, allows run and charging for mounted Vanguard. Mounted and Vanguard, is that correct, Jason?
Yeah, anything mounted, basically.
Anything mounted in their army. So yeah, quite often you'll see the armies just be horseback cavalry through and through on this one. As Grand Strategy Spellcasting Savant, so their Locust General has to stay and survive until the end of the battle. And then they've got the Indomitable Triumph. In their list then, they have Be'lakor with the Demonic Speed spell. This basically is a 3d6 charge opportunity if it goes off correctly. We then have a Chaos Sorcerer Lord coming in as their general with the Undivided Mark of Chaos. Jason, with that one, what was the benefit for being undivided again? Do you know?
Other units get to roll on the Eye of Gods tables, and they gain a command ability to +1 to wound against heroes or wizards.
Okay.
So
could have potential in this then, in that case, yeah, especially with the heroes, heroes and wizards, kind of covering a lot of bases on that one. Command trait Master Magic, it says default 1, as we all know, so you get to re-roll 1 spell per turn if you fail to cast it. And then the Chaos Familiar also kind of re-enhances that, so once per battle, they can cast an extra spell pulled from the Law of the Damned. So they can't go off with the frozen spells or anything like that, just from their Law of the Damned. But saying that though, they do have and have selected the spell Merciless Blizzard, so the 4d6 boom boom boom. To carry on from there then, they also then have Slaves to Darkness Gaunt Summoner on Disc of Tzeentch, and that also has the Hoarfrost spell. So lots of flexibility around the frozen spells and the opportunity to change some statistics if they pull it off. Quite a straightforward list on this one. We have got 6 Vanguard with the Mark of Khorne. Mark of Khorne giving the Vanguard a +1 attack on the charge if they are successful, and also 1 unit within 1 inch of the unit after they charge on a 2-up has D3 mortal wounds. Chaos Knights reinforced once, I believe, in this one, so that'll be 6. I think that is there. Is it 6? Yeah, 6. With a Nurgle Mark of Chaos, so -1 to wound against them. And then they also have the Ensorcelled Banner, which is the eroding icon, and that is if it's a rend of -1, it counts as nothing. Do note though, if it's -2 or higher, it does count. So yeah, just be aware on that one. To kind of top it off, they have a single unit of Legionnaires, some Untamed Beasts, and of course the Geminids getting thrown in there in a 1-drop for 1940 points. What do you think, Jason? Any thoughts?
Lots of movement, lots of good distance. One thing about the Legionnaires is they get +1 to wound if they're in 12-inch of Bellicle, which is included in this army. So you're getting little bubbles everywhere on this army. It's quite a nice techie list.
In addition, with the Legionnaires, they can also stop commands once per turn, I believe it is. They can select a unit to stop receiving or issuing commands. So they have versatility. And you can potentially see them running alongside Be'lakor, keeping within that 12-inch circle, I would expect. Perhaps being an objective holder or something, allowing the Vanguard and Chaos Knights to go on forwards, I would assume. And then I expect, I don't know what your thoughts are on the Untamed Beasts, just objective captures, do you think?
I think so. I mean, it's always nice to have. I mean, their attacks, from what I remember, I'm just loading up now. They're all right. One ranged attack per model, 2 melee attacks. They're all right. Run and charge again.
Yeah,
They're
exactly. I wouldn't spend much on
nothing
them.
too crazy, but
No, for 80 points, they're just on the board,
yeah.
aren't they? They're on the board, and they can either go off to the edge for one of the battle tactics or something like that. So, there. But yeah, so good luck to Al on that one. Should be a good list. Moving on, we have Chris Scothorn with the Gloomspite Gits Jaws of Mork list. He is bringing that up now. So, Jaws of Mork, which is a +1 to the tax profile when a Squig unit charges. So, nice and juicy when you are running it. And as you'll see from this army, you'll benefit from it. Slaughter of Sorcery, kill all the wizards, which is fantastic because this list does not have any wizards. With the Triumph of the Bloodthirsty, so just the opportunity to reroll those charges. Squig Boss is his general with the Clammy Hand. Clammy Hand allowing the individual to roll twice on the Loon Shrine whenever he wants to return units. They're kind of reinforcing the opportunity to bring back some of his Squiggy friends. And the Amulet of Destiny, because Squig Boss has no award save, and why not? Let's give it a 6+. You then have a second Squig Boss with the hand-carved Nullstone icon. Now, Jason, on these ones, I do get these confused. The icon is the one that allows you to keep dispelling if you successfully dispel, if I can remember correctly. Okay, whilst he's just checking out, we then do have a third Squig Boss, because why not? Yeah, absolutely. And with that then, 4 units of reinforced Squig Herd. So that's 24 Squig Herd in each of those units. Just to add in, because they perhaps want something slightly bigger, a Mangler Squig for 260 points. So that's actually quite good. I wouldn't personally take the general one Mangler Squig mode, not at 340, but 260, worthwhile with it. And then to buff those Squigs up even more, Sneaky Snufflers, 2 units worth of them, just to kind of go in there and do what they do best, give those extra attacks and potentially give a ward and potentially give extra attacks on top. Battle Regiment at 1990. Jason, thoughts?
Even with the FAQ on the Squig Herd, they are still very strong. I've fought your Squig Herd before, and I always have fun with them. Let's put it that way. 2 wounds each model, so 4 lots of 48 wounds.
It's a
It's
lot.
going to be tough to shift, and
Yeah.
obviously extra movement in the what is it, hero phase, or is it
Yeah, so the
before
Squig
the
boss can help them move once per battle, do an early move.
yeah.
Yeah.
So really loads of movement.
And
It's
it's
going to be
also,
hard to shift them.
yeah, and it's a synergizing, because like with the Squig bosses as well, they each turn, if they're within the range required, they can give the mushrooms off to them. So it increases the rend, I believe it increases the damage, or is it attacks? One of the two.
Um,
Um,
do you remember
and
the what we were discussing? The Squig boss can give sixes to hit, do mortals on the Squig
that's
herd.
it. Yeah.
The Jaws of Mort gives the Jaws an extra attack um, per model
Yeah.
on the bitey attacks. So it's just going to be a rolling for sixes, and then just doing loads of mortals that way. Then they run away, do more mortals, and
Yeah,
yeah,
like the sneaky snufflers as well. Giving them 5 up ward. They're potentially going to give the Mangler Squig 5 up ward as well. There's no compromise on that one. It could bend. It could work for them. I just actually want to say though, this isn't a 1 drop. It's actually a 2 drop. So apologies. The sneaky snufflers second unit did not get into the battle reg. I just saw the star wasn't there. There's
oh, yeah,
actually a 2 drop, not a 1 drop.
yeah.
So yeah. Go Team Squig, I guess. Good luck with that list. We then move on to Dan Bradshaw with Blades of Corn Flayed. So the subfaction is the Flayed, which provides a 5 up ward if a unit is selected for combat. So they have to have had a round of combat, and if they do get selected for combat, they get the 5 up ward on that one. The Triumph is Bloodthirsty, which is the. Do you know, Jason?
Which one this way?
Bloodthirsty Triumph. Oh, no, ignore the Triumph. Sorry, I was thinking that was the Grand Strategy. Sorry. Oh, no. Yeah, Grand Strategy is Overshadow. So they need to have more. They have to eliminate all your battle line and have one of their battle lines still alive. Which, to be honest, he potentially will do quite comfortably on this one. Looking at this one, then he has the Bloodthirst of Unaffected Fury in here as a general. His command trait is a Firebrand, so what that allows him to is become a priest. He then also has the artifact power of Argarth, the King of Blades. So basically, no ward saves. If you're within 3 inches of this fella, sorry, ward save not for you. And then he has the prayers of he has a prayer called Killer Instinct, which basically is a friendly unit can move in the hero phase. Guess who's going to possibly get that? He has a Blood Secretor in there, Slaughter Priest. The Slaughter Priest has Blood Sacrifice, so that is you choose a friendly unit, they take D3 mortals, but you gain 1 Blood Tithe point for it. Moving on, they then have Scarbrand coming back into the list, which, to be honest, I have to admit, I haven't seen that often in some of the recent Khorne lists, so it's nice to see him making a return. We have a Bloodmaster in with the Prayer of Bronze Flesh, which is a +1 to save for a friendly unit. And then you got the Pact of Noldust, which is the once per battle option, isn't it, Jason? Yeah, once per battle on the 1s, 2s, or 3s. If they're doubles, it's a miscast or potentially even primal miscast. Going on further with this one then, a huge unit of Blood Warriors. 570 points. That's 30 Blood Warriors on a 3-up save, I think, off the top of my head, if that's correct, Jason. Yep. Charging in on you with their Gore Axes and Gore Fists and 3 Gore Glaives. They then have a Unit 10 Blood Reavers, Unit 10 Blood Reavers, and a Unit 10 Blood Reavers. And then just to top it off, Maegor's Fiends, the warband coming in at the end in a 2-drop for 2k on the nose. Any thoughts there, Jason?
Those Blood Warriors, 30 block of those. That's 60 wounds on a 3-up save.
It's crazy.
Really good attacks. That's just going to be a huge hitting, a huge. It's never going to go anywhere.
It's going to take a lot to shift them, particularly if they once they activate, they get their 5-up wall on top, so you're turning 3-up, 5-up before end, 3-up before end and everything. That's going to take objectives and Killragon's not going to be able to do anything about it, to be honest. And then with the two Bloodthirsters just bounding across the board and doing what they do, it's going to be something. And then the synergizing from the rest of the other heroes. What can you say? What can you say? A really good list. I've been once again in the last stream, done in this stream. Luckily, I was done it as third person. Jason, where does Dan Bradshaw sit?
So we'll do UK only this time. Dan is 22nd in the UK, so very high-ranking person.
Wow. So for you going there to the tournament, he clearly knows what he's doing on that one. Just so I haven't forgotten about them, Al Roberts, where does he currently sit?
Al Roberts was 2,650th.
Okay, pleasant. Good. And Chris Gothorn?
1,510.
510. So these numbers may sound quite large and everything, but you've got to consider the idea that there are, I think there's about 10,000 people currently on the rankings lists, something close to that sort of line in the UK.
For you.
Oh, thank you. So you may hear 1,500, 2,500. It's nothing to be snubbed at. To be honest, I know Jason's had a look at ours recently, and we're in similar regions. So
I'll share them at the end. But yeah, I've just found out ours.
Where do we stand, Jason?
Well, Paul is leading out of us two. Paul is 1,980th.
Okay.
That's mainly due to your Fire Slayers 4-1.
Fire Slayers, yeah, that helped a lot.
And I am 2,713.
2,713.
Because I was playing OBR before the new book.
And recently after the new book as well. Yeah.
9,519 records.
Wow. Okay, so 9,500 people in that listing. So hopefully that gives you kind of an idea of where people stand when we actually read these out. And also, just want to reiterate that we're doing this from a middle table perspective. We're not meta runners. We play the games to our best of our ability. And if anything like my past weekend was, I went away with a 0 and 3 with my Gloomspite Gits units, but that was a test on this. So I'm just going to put that in my defense, just put that in defense. Anyway, moving on before I dig myself more into a hole. Daniel Jones, he's going to be running Hedonites of Slaanesh. So let's pull up Daniel's. He is in the Godseekers. In the Godseekers army faction. So the Godseekers, should I say, allows them to re-roll charge rolls for friendly units while they're wholly within 12 inches of a Godseekers hero. And in addition to that, at the start of each battle round, before the players receive their starting command points, you can move D3 friendly units that are more than 3 inches away from all enemies up to D6 inches. So you roll separately for each of them. And then in addition to that, those units must finish more than 3 inches away, so you can't roll into combat. Looking into this then, he has the Selfish Desire, which the grand strategy for that one is do not summon anything. Simple as. Very easy with Slaanesh, because to be honest, having been a Slaanesh player myself, I'm not particularly happy with the new book. It has potential, don't get me wrong, but for my kind of play style, not mine. And in particular, their summoning has gone, like, almost been halved. It's like virtually not there. But yeah, easy one to do. He has the Contorted Epitome as his general, with Shaman of the Chilled Lands, meaning it knows all of the frozen spells from the GHB. It has the Girdle of the Realm Racer. This allows the individual to fly, and in addition, a 6-inch pile-in, which is pretty nice for the Contorted Epitome, considering that when it gets within 3 inches of enemies, you can no longer issue or receive commands to those enemy units. And it has the spell Slothful Stupor, casting value of 7, range of 12. If successfully cast, you pick an enemy unit, and if until your next hero phase, their move characteristic is 3 inches, and all their run rolls and charge rolls for that unit are also counted as 3. So you are stifling their ability to do very many things with that unit. He then has the Mask coming in, which is straightforward enough. And Glutos is also in there, being potentially the tank, the actual centerpiece of the army, and the one that they'll hold. With Pass of the Dark Prince, which is casting value of 5. If successfully cast, you roll 3d6 instead of 2d6 when making a charge for the caster. Now you may wonder to yourself, why would you get Glutos in? Well, to be honest, on 18 wounds on a 3-up, 5-up save, he can hold his own. He can hold his own when he needs to. And then when you start getting those buffs in from the depravity points, you're laughing. You're just getting that -1 to hit. He already has a -1 to hit, so that's a -2 to hit for him. And then it just goes off and whittles on from there. Then we get into the Blissbarb Archers, 3 sets of 11. And then he then has the Unborn Spell Portal, Geminids, and then he finishes off with 2 units of 10 Twin Souls. So that's quite interesting, I have to admit. Going in at a 1-drop, and his points are 2,000 on the nose. Thoughts, Jason?
Fought Slanesh before. It's in the new book. It's hard enough. Never fought Godseekers though, so it's going to be interesting, especially with the grand strat of no summoning and everything.
Yeah.
It's just going to be a bit different. I don't know. But those Blissbarb Archers will rip through most things anyway.
That's the thing with Godseekers. A lot of people looked at the new book and they see the Invaders and the Pretenders, and instantly they kind of go to the kind of line themselves with those ones because they have so much potential. But Godseekers has its own hidden talents within it. And listening to all the reviews done by a lot of the big streamers and everything, they do say that actually from the spell lore perspective, Godseekers is the one to go for. So it has potential, and with the likes of the mask coming in, he can actually deploy. You set him up, and then he actually teleports off, and he can start up to 3 inches away from an enemy unit, charges in, and then he goes ham. You give him the excess for violence, and that means he can really buff up the depravity points turn 1. All right, Mister, you going to bed now? Are you?
No, Mrs.
Okay, go on then, Mister. To bed you go then.
What are you doing?
Just do my stream. Go on for you. Yeah, he can really do it. And then with Glutos and the Archers kind of also helping on that front. I'm curious about the Twin Souls though, particularly as a unit of 10. They really are they do make me wonder. They've got a 1-inch range, so it's going to be very hard getting in the mornings. Combat with no on 32 mil bases. But I believe, like you said, Jason, before when we were looking at this, they give -1 attacks to enemy units when they're in 3 inches.
They are 5+. Yeah, subtract 1 from attacks characteristics. Enemy units, but they're within 3.
I'm sure there's some sort of build on this one. What position does Daniel sit at the moment, Jason?
4760, so about halfway.
4760. So it's going to be curious to see how this one goes. I'm curious, although I don't play Slanesh at the moment, it's definitely one to watch. So Daniel, good luck, and let's move on. David Weimer from the Norfolk Wargaming Coalition has brought Stormcast Eternals Astral Templars. So it's nice to see Stormcast list coming in. With my notes here because I know very little about Stormcast. They are the Astral Templars, Scions of the Storm. So Scions of the Storm allows them to do the teleporting in. I think it is, isn't it, on that front? But the Astral Templars ability is it stops monstrous rampages from affecting his units. So it's a great null deployer. And the stopping ability for the monsters there. Scions of the Storm is the teleporting one, or are you just checking that out? Are you?
I'm just checking one thing quickly.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Cut me off when you need to. Spellcasting Savant, basically have one of his scions alive at the end of the battlefield, at the battle site, and then Bloodthirsty, which is the rewarding charges. A Knight Incantor is his general with the Eye of the Blizzard, so thank you very much, I have to say, to David on this one. He's actually left notes on his lists. Love it. Eye of the Blizzard, which gives him an extra primal dice on a 5-up, and he does that every turn. It's every turn for his Eye of the Blizzard. And then he has Merciless Blizzard, which is the Boom 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 Frozen. A Knight Incantor coming in, reinforcing Merciless Blizzard with his own option of it. Knight Vexilla coming in with the Meteoric Standard. So this is the one that can do area of effect, D3 mortal wounds on enemy units. And then he's got the Arcane Tome as well, just kind of really enhancing that opportunity for the spell casting to go off. Admittedly, he can only do the Arcane Bolt and the Mystic Shield, but it's still good to have something in there. And Lord Relictor coming in with the Prayer Translocation. This is the one that allows them to teleport units in the hero phase. So that's pretty cool. Knight Draconis comes in then as well with the Luckstone. So essentially he can manipulate the dice rolls once per game, and that is he can say what the roll or the number will be. If that's correct, isn't it, Jason? Oh, for the hit,
Yep.
wound, save, run, or charge, he doesn't roll the dice, he just says the number.
He just says what he wants.
He just says what he wants. That's kind of awesome. So that's pretty good. And then his mount trait is Celestial Instincts, which allows him to retreat and charge, or retreat and shoot, depending on what he wants to do at that point. And to be honest, being on the back of the dragon, both are viable options. It's not as if he's discontinuing one of those things. And then he actually has an ally pulled in, a KO Etheric Navigator. Jason and I did actually kind of look through this, trying to work out where this synergizes in the army. He has the ability to dispel, either a normal spell or an endless spell, but we think, or we assume, the other reason is his winds ability, which whilst there's two options, he'll only ever go for one because the other one is for KO units only, and that is D3 mortal wounds on the board. So an interesting setup on that one. Battle line then, he's got his Vanguard Hunters, 2 sets of them, and then 5 Vindictors. And then he goes Chariot crazy. 4 Stormstrike Chariots, each of them capable of doing their own mortal wound output. And I believe they're the ones that are on 6 or 9 wounds on a 3-up save, one of the two.
When Harpedia starts working, I'll let you know.
Yeah, no, that's cool. That's cool. We then also have then the Everblaze Comet as their end of spell. Why wouldn't you? And the Malevolent Maelstrom, just buffing even more potential mortal wound outputs out there. In a Warlord and Antorian Acolytes. The Antorian Acolytes giving them the potential that in their hero phase getting even more primal dice. 1919 at a 13 drop, going max out on the drops, doesn't care. Jason, thoughts?
I always like playing Stormcast. I think it's an interesting thing bringing the Navigator in place. The Chariots, it's just going to be a weird list, as in the way I've seen Stormcast before, but I can see how they will work. The impact hits on those are really good. You've got basically the Knight Draconis will be really interesting as well.
Yeah,
I think it's just going to be an interesting list to fight.
It's nice to see Stormcross out there. I know that in the last couple of tournaments we've looked through or been to and everything, they're few and far between. So it's actually kind of nice to see a pure Stormcast list as well. I don't actually think he's the only one though, if I remember correctly. I think we do have 1 or 2 more in this tournament. But that is a lot of potential mortal wound output. So I certainly wouldn't underestimate this list at all. Where does David stand at, Jason?
1180.
1180, so pretty damn good. David, good luck with that list. We'll move on to Elliot Marshall with Sons of Bahamut, Breaker Tribe. Good to see a good old Giant list coming in on this one. So with this one, he has the Breaker Tribe, which I believe doesn't actually help his army in this instance. Well, not as much as it could do, because he doesn't have any Man Crusher Gargants.
Most of the bonuses are for them, yeah.
Yeah, but Slaughter of Sorcery, kill the wizards, why not? And then his Fierce Loathing is Idiots with Flags, which is a +1 to hit if he goes into a unit that's either a totem or has a champion model in it that can issue, obviously, commands sort of things, or can issue commands, should I say. Going on then, he has the Gatebreaker as his general. And he has the command trait Extremely Bitter, meaning he gets a second Fierce Loathing ability. And in this instance, he's got Bossy Plants and Clever Cogs. Do you remember what those do, Jason? Sorry.
Yes, +1 to hit against. No, that's Fierce Loathing.
Yes, against heroes and wizards, isn't it? Yeah.
The Heroes and Wizards for that, yeah.
That's right, yeah. So he gets +1 to hit against heroes and wizards. And then his artifact.
Not heroes.
Oh,
No, so the command trait is +1 to hit with heroes or wizards.
yeah.
One of the fierce loathing is +1 to hit against command models.
Yeah, that's so we get the Aegis of Flags.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and you're about to go into it. The artifact is +1 to wound against heroes.
that's right. Yeah, King's Slaughter Cow +1 to wound, so you can see which way that giant's going to be going. He will definitely be aiming for your lovely little heroes. Run away from them. Because I think we had the stat line on this one, didn't we, Jason? I think on the majority of times it's 2s and 3s or 3s and 2s or potentially
I
2s
think it's
and
even 2s and 2s.
Yeah, 2s and 2s.
Gatebreaker, really
He's gonna squish them, I think.
yeah, with 2s and 2s with his range attack. His main attacks will be 3s and 2s.
Wow.
3 red.
3
So-
rend. There is 3 rend. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll definitely
It's
with any
gonna hurt.
armor.
Hurt a
It
lot.
will hurt. You've got King Broad in there as well. A War Stomper with the Nullstone icon. And then the Beast Smasher with extra callous feet, which in this instance, I'll write this one down. When you can change the charge to 3. Sorry, what was it, Jason?
His
Oh, no,
almighty
change the
stomp.
characteristic. Yeah, sorry, callous feet. Yes. For the Almighty Stomp, it changes the characteristic to 3 attacks. 3 for the attack, rend, and damage. That's it. That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
What's that? Write notes, make it easier. Perhaps I should write them a bit more clearly. And then he comes in on a one drop at 1950. I believe you're looking at SOB, aren't you yourself, Jason?
Yeah. I've got IDK to finish first, but then it is possibly going to be my next one. I just like the idea of just taking 4 models to a tournament,
Yeah.
and then they're just going to be hard to remove off the table. Simple as that.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, okay, they went through a bad patch in the last GHB. This one, I've seen them pretty much at every tournament that we've been to, or we've reviewed now, or we've looked at ourselves. And it's not as if they're at the bottom of the tables by any means. They're definitely mid tables. So there's something there with them. But yeah, so good luck to Elliot. And where does Elliot sit at the moment?
Elliot is not got a rank from
He's
PCP.
not. Oh, well, good luck, Elliot. If this is your first tournament, then I hope you enjoy it. Absolutely. Fabian Quinn coming in with another Gloomspite list, Jaws of Mork. As we go into this one, so he has the Jaws of Mork Horde ability, so once again, +1 attacks on the charges for his squigs. Grand strategy of chasing the moon, so basically his general has to stay alive and also be affected by the bad moonlight for at least 3 battle rounds. And then he comes in. Now, this is going to be curious. I'm curious on this list myself. He has Gringrak the Great in there. He has a Madcap Shaman with the Moonface Mommet. Moonface Mommet allowing the individual at the start of each combat phase to choose an enemy unit, and they get a -1 to their save. Hoarfrost, for what it does best for the gits when it does get off. He's got a Web Spinner Shaman with the Merciless Blizzard. Yeah, fling that little fellow in, you let him do something, and if he gets squished, well, who cares? It's 65 points. The Squig boss then with the Nasher Squig being the general, and once again having the Clammy Hand, allowing him to use the Loon Shrine twice at the end of his turn instead of once. And then Scragwort coming in, doing what he does best with the moon, his spells, and the ability to give off those commands. Bring it in then, he then has 2 units of 5 Boingbot Bounders, 2 units of 36 Squig Herd, 20 Shooters, and then Gringrak's Loon Court. In this one, he's then got Antorian Acolytes and a Warlord, and at 1955, he is 11 drop with 220 wounds on the board. Your thoughts, Jason?
I wish I could get to that many wounds count.
Well, it's like one of the third times your IDK, isn't it?
My IDK is around about the 100-ish mark.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I wish I could get to 200. No, I mean it's a nice little list. Bounders will be really nice to actually. They are pretty fighty. They do go down, but they are pretty fighty. Squig Hug, 36 Squig Herd. That's
72 wounds.
and the ability the to actually run away on those, which is kind of not necessarily what you want to do, but it doesn't hurt you that much because you can chuck a mortal. Now it's to the nearest enemy rather than you can't ping it over the current unit to get to the heroes behind. But
Yeah.
that's good enough. Even chucking, doing a few wounds, this sort of stuff, 10 run away and doing 8 mortal wounds to the guy in front of you, it's nice.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you know what? I've been running 24, and I've really had my ums and ahs about running them in a 24 because usually half of them get cut off, and then you have to really determine or decide: am I going to just ditch my kill off my herders just to get that unit to run properly? Well, maximize the run potential with the squigs. And 36, I think you're more inclined. They're not all going to run away in one go, and then those herders can actually do their job and bring some more back. So there's potential. I'm interested to see why he didn't do the 10 Boingot Bounders instead of 2 units of 5. I'm guessing that's for board control potentially. It's like you're right. You know they can punch on the charge, but they are only on a 4-up save too. That's 10 wounds on a 4-up save. No ward there, unfortunately. The interesting thing that gets me on this one, and I took Green Crack at my last weekend tournament to try and buff some of my clans, and I'm curious to see what he does in this army because his ability I dubbed the allows him to choose a unit within 3 inches of him, and they get to fight on death. Looking at this, other than the squig herds, okay, you can potentially do it to the Boingrots, but it means he has to be up with the Boingrots after they've charged and moved. Yes, you could teleport him across, but still, it'd be curious to see how this one plays out with the Green Crack. I'm personally considering actually ditching him after trialing him in 3 games because my plans proved harder than I thought it would be. And then the shooters as well. I had 20 shooters in my list, and they're very quickly going out the window because that is 39 shots. If you have a netto of 40 shots, but normally you have 1 netto in there, so it goes down to 38 and then plus 1 for the champions at 39 shots. But on 4s and 5s, 3s and 5s, you do all that attacking, you're going to actually expend that point. You're rolling dice for the sake of rolling dice, in my opinion. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this one plays out. Potentially, the shooters, I assume, will be just holding objectives. So the option is there. But yeah, good luck with this one. At 1955, you're more likely going to get your Triumph, which, by the way, he has 2, Inspired and Indomitable. So that's kind of cool. That is kind of cool. Where does Fabian sit at the moment?
Number 50.
Number 50?
So fairly high up. Yeah, 50, 50.
Well, then ignore what I just said, guys. If he's 50, clearly he knows his stuff, and he must have some hidden plan on this one. So, Fabian, I'm sure you know exactly what you're doing. Good luck with that one, and I'll definitely be looking at this when it comes out in the results on Monday, because this is a 2-day show. Rob from Honest Wargamer will be doing his stat center on Monday, and this will come up in there. So I'll be curious. Farron Key, Soulblight Gravelords, a Legion of Night. Once again, I've had to have lots of notes on this one because I'm not too afraid with Soulblight. The Legion of Night is once per turn in the charge phase. He can opt to do a counter charge. So exactly what OBR can do nowadays, Soulblight can do too.
Yeah.
The grand strategy is Lust for Domination. So basically, he has to control more grave sites at the end of the battle. And then he's got Manfred von Carstein in there, a nice little power piece there with the spell Waste Away. Waste Away is a -1 to wound and damage. 18-inch range. For 1 enemy unit, so it's -1 to wound and on the damage. And if you roll 9+ on the casting roll, unmodified, has to be unmodified, then it's 2 units to be affected by it. So that's kind of cool. Vampire Lord being the general with unbending will. So basically, any of his summonable units count as 2 on objectives when wholly within 12 inches of the general. He also has Morbeg's Claw, which as long as they're 3 inches away from enemy units, they get +2 to casting, but no move. If they use that bonus, they can't move. But the reason for this, though, Merciless Blizzard is there, so he can easily then bring that down to a 10 on the casting for Merciless Blizzard if he uses that claw. Necromancer in there with Rupture, and you'll understand why in a second, because he's bonded with the Kronspine. Yes, this army has a Kronspine in it. 4 units of Direwolves, standard setup, 1 Kronspine, 20 Graveguard, I think that is there. Yeah, 20 Graveguard with the standard setup, and then the Shards of Valagar, finishing off in a 1-drop. He said, just going to get in a 1-drop at 2,000 points on the nose. Your thoughts, Jason?
I've always struggled with SBL. Interesting Kronspine in there. Kronspine is always fairly annoying to kill anyway, but interesting actually having it in this list. It's a bit different in terms of not skeletons, not zombies. Lots of wolves though. Big movement,
A
just
lot of
big
wolves.
blocking units.
Yeah.
Graveguard, I struggled with them at our last tournament. With Hoarfrost, it makes them crazy. I don't know if he actually has
Yeah, I think you're
Hoarfrost.
saying
No, he
like
doesn't.
they were hitting you with -3 rend because they were successfully able to get that off. Is that right?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
this guy doesn't actually have Hoarfrost though, so ignore me on that one.
Oh,
But they
okay.
can be annoying Graveguard. Really good.
Yeah.
And Manfred is always annoying because I'm pretty sure he still has his run away in the
Runaway
combat
option,
phase.
doesn't he? Yeah, if he takes damage, I think he can do that.
Something like that, yeah.
So-
He's when I fought him before, he just disappears before you can do anything to him anyway.
yeah, that's not fun at all. And then with the Kronspine in there as well, you can see what they're going to do. They're going to, like the little dogs or horses of old and everything, they'll release them into the wild, cast Rupture, and let them go mental on that one. So, yeah, there is the potential there. There is the potential of that one. And I do wonder, actually, Jason, this is something that I did think about. So, what they do is they release the Kronspine. They had the Shards of Valagar out, and then they let the Kronspine dispel it. And if they dispel it, it means it goes back up a level. So if you have that on the board, it takes some damage and everything. It goes down a level, get it to eat you a local spell, end the spell, right back up. Virtually indestructible if you can get that going every battle round. There is, yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. Good luck.
This list is going to be much more of a denial, sort of area denial list rather than fighting, just stopping you getting to them.
Yeah, I think so. Don't get me wrong. I think Manfred can certainly do some stuff, and the Kronspine will certainly be a centerpiece in this battlefield for them. So, yeah. Where does Farron sit?
5-4-6.
5-4-6. Okay, 5-4-6. That's good. That's really good, actually. Good luck, Farron. James Blow coming in with our first Seraphon list of the night. Now, he has given us all his notes, so it looks a lot of information, but actually really useful. So he is Starborn, so he gets to generate cosmic power points, 1 for each wizard. The Ashlyth Bearer in each of the hero phases, each hero phase he can gain 1 for each successful cast, dispel or disbind. So he's just going to pump those cosmic power points up really fast, which will allow them to bring in units every turn. His cosmic nodes in this one are the wizards, the Ashlyth Bearer, and the Realm Shaper engine. He has a special heroic action, and this one's special translocation, which you can pick another unit wholly within 12 inches of the slan and teleport it away 9 inches away from an enemy. Admittedly, you can't move in the same phase, but great board potential. You know, movement shenanigans there. His sub-faction is the Fangs of Sotek, as you'd kind of expect in this one, which means he can do 3 redeploys in a turn. But so long as he doesn't use it the third time, it's free. It's only when he does it that third time does it actually cost a command point. A little bit sucky considering in Slaanesh it's the other way around. You pay the point first and then you get the last next 2 for free. But why not for Seraphon? Spellcasting Savant, keep his likely, I expect, a Slam Master. Yeah, Slam Master alive. And then he's trying for 1+1 to wound. He has a Slam Master in there with the command trait of Celestial Resonance, which gets 2 Cosmic Power Points instead of 1 for each successful cast Unbinding Dispels. Just pumping more of that potential summoning in. The artifact is a Space Folder Stave, so at the end of the movement phase, you can set up the next unit out to 7 inches instead of 9 when they get teleported in. And just remember, when he does those summoning, it happens at the end of the movement phase, so why not? You know, he's making it more likely that he'll that unit can charge in the combat phase, in the charge phase. Comet's Call and Stellar Tempest being the spells. Comet's Call is the one we all love to hate, but luckily it's on Star Master. Skink Starseer is in there as well with the Merciless Blizzard and Hoarfrost. As you expect, he's given he's got an artifact as his Warlord Battalion choice, as we'll likely see in this one. That's why he's got 2 spells. Croaky, though, is in there, so you can see how this list is coming out to be. It's definitely one of these strong lists that we've seen a lot, going very successful in tournaments across the globe. Saurus Astrolith Bearer in there, and then another Skink Star Seer with Merciless Blizzard and Cosmic Crush. Going in then, as you'll probably see quite a lot as we go in through Seraphon lists, 5 Saurus Guard, 5 Saurus Guard, and 10 Skinks. This will sometimes fluctuate, as you'll see through various lists. Saurus Guard, so giving that protection to Croak and the Star Master. Malevolent Maelstrom, Soul Screen Bridge in there, and then Rail Shaper Engine. So that's just giving some more help in them for the terrain. And then the 6 Aggrodon Lancers getting added. So as we have found from previous tournaments, they do well. They do very well. Antorian Acolytes and Warlords, 1985. I think this is max drop. Now, it does go on. I'm not going to go through this because basically what he's actually done, he's written out all the rules that affect his army. So hat off to you, sir. Hat off to you. Your thoughts, Jason?
I've fought a list very similar to this. The only reason I survived past turn 2 was because I was playing Null Myriad for OBR, so I got a 2+ spell ignore.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Without that, by turn 2, I'd have been spelled basically off the board.
Right.
It is very, very strong. I'm still trying to figure out ways of countering it without spell ignore at the minute.
Yeah, to be honest, like we just said, this is what you would class, and it's not a bad thing us saying this, this is just what it is. This is what you would class as a meta list. It does the job, it does it well, and when you go to these tournaments, you're looking to achieve results. So why not? It's going to be a hard one to face off against. So good luck if you do face off against this opponent, and also good luck to James and as well on this one. Hope you actually do really well with it. Where does James sit ranking wise?
1603.
1603. So he knows his stuff. And likelihood with this Seraphon list, he will certainly get a couple wins, if not a lot of wins. That will definitely help his ranking status. Jimmy Wild then coming in. Now he didn't list it, so let's see what this surprise is. And the surprise in this one is, of course, Skaven. A lot of fun on this one. A lot of fun. So he doesn't choose a subtraction, because basically the way Skaven work is that as long as they have the heroes in there, they get the bonuses. If they have three heroes of the same kind of grouping, they get a buff on their bonuses. The grand strategy is defend the Nexus on this one. So basically, they have to have 2 wizards controlling the center of the board at the end of the battle. And to kind of help that out, he has a Gracier with Death Frenzy. Death Frenzy being the Fight on Death option spell. And then he has the artifact of Skaven Brew, which is +1 attack, I think it was on this one.
Brew, when you're within 3 inches of the unit, +1 to attack, yeah.
There we go. There you go. And the great thing about Graciers, they are worth it in this current GHB because when they cast dice, they roll 3d6 and then they choose the 2 dice that they want. So that is kind of cool. It really kind of helps just reinforce their opportunity to successfully cast. They got a Vermin Lord Warpseer in then coming in with the Flaming Weapon. A Warlock Bombardier with the Vial of the Fulminator. Now, the Vial of the Fulminator basically allows the individual to double the movement of the Doom Wheels in this list. It does do it for other units, but in this instance, it's the Doom Wheels. But if he does do this to one of them, he then has to roll dice, and on the 1, the Doom Wheel takes D3 mortal wounds. If ever that was a Skaven rule, yeah, there it is. And then he's got the Warp Vault, Law of the Warp Vault Galvanism, which is more warp power. Basically, a lot of these more capabilities buffs the unit in a fantastically potential way, but with the potential of a flip side to it that you will take damage yourself. And this one, he's then got a second Warlock Bombardier with Hoarfrost spell, and a Master Molder being his general with the command trait of Horde Master. So you don't normally see the Horde Master command trait being taken, let alone the Master Molder being the general. Horde Master allows him to attempt to bring back a destroyed pack unit. So it'll have to be one of the Molder units on a 3-up. Now, we will come back to this in a second when we go further through his list. Going on though, 20 Clan Rats, 20 Clan Rats, 20 Clan Rats. So great pieces just to kind of get in the way of the enemy and really block them off. Michael, who does the streaming with us here, he's a Skaven player, and he's been discovering just the potential of having 20 Skaven lined out in a row. Just the enemy can't get to your key pieces. Just annoy your opponent with them. He then has 6 Rat Ogres and 2 Doom Wheels, and then he has 2 sets of 3 Warplock Jezzails. With Antorian Acolytes and the Warlords, so the Antorian Acolytes giving the option for more primal dice, 1980, 13 drop. And the reason I was going to bring this in, to go back to the Master Molder, Rat Ogres, when they die, the Master Molder has an innate ability already that if a pack unit like the Rat Ogres dies, then on a 3-up, he can bring them back. So Jason and I tried to work out why would he take Horde Master, and our thinking or understanding on this one is that it's kind of a backup option for it, because he can only do it once. I believe it's once per battle he can use this option. So if he's at that time when he really wants that unit to come back in, he can try the normal 3-up. If it fails, he then activates his once per battle ability, giving him the second chance of a 3-up. And 2 chances of rolling 3-up, unless you're me, is a very likely cause to get it in there. Jason, your thoughts whilst I open up my curtain a little bit?
Jezzails are super strong, really long range. You just can't hide from them. I love the fact he's got Doom Wheels in there.
Yeah.
A bit more Skaven.
Yeah.
They do mortals when they roll over you, but also mortals when they roll over themselves as well. So it just makes it really good fun. Clan Rats will just block up the board.
Yeah.
No, Rat Ogres have fought before. They're strong. They're strong enough. They're not crazy, but they've just got a lot of staying power, and they've got good attacks on them.
Yeah, with that potential, the Hoarfrost, that could really help them out. That's 24 wounds on a 4-up save, I think it is. So, it's nothing to sniff at. If you were able to get the Hoarfrost on, potentially giving him either easier to hit or more rend, I mean, that could be quite good. But like you said, this is like a fun list. 2 Doom Wheels. I love the potential of Doom Wheels. I never liked them for their points, but now they're down to 140 points per Doom Wheel. There's options. Just have them going crazy
Be a
across the
great
board.
little fun thing to chuck in the army.
If you really wanted, you could have like one on one side, one on the other side, or not that sort of thing, but across like have enemy units in the middle, and just have them going across. That's like two
And running
D3
backwards
mortal
and forwards
wounds.
across the line.
Yeah, 2d3 mortal wounds on each unit. And then they still have like a mini warp lightning cannon attached to them. So it's like, don't get them in combat, just keep shooting and running around like a lunatic.
Well, their range attack is D6 attacks, 3s, -1 for D3. So there's nothing to be scared of. Those stats, that's really good.
Yeah, it is good. And I assume with the more warp power, I assume the more warp power will go on the warp lock to sales, but it's potential for the Doom Wheel, I guess.
They've got a similar thing in their actual warp scroll. They can do 2d6.
Sure.
But then if you roll a double, they get 2d6 mortals on themselves.
And I think they're what,
It's
11 wounds?
stable.
I think. Oh no, not even 11 wounds. That's 8
8
wounds.
wounds.
8 wounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And basically, if you roll a double after their attacks are done, you can blow yourself up anyway.
But that's why I love Skaven. You know, just that whole
crazy.
laughing piece of this is all or nothing, balls to the wall, and you know if it screws up, then you know, laugh it off and move on. What's another rat? I hope you have a lot of fun with this list, Jimmy. And it'll be interesting to see how well you do with it. Where does Jimmy sit?
961.
961.
So fairly high up.
Potentially, he has an idea. He has an inclination in mind, and I guess he may have tested this list. Cool. I'm curious. I want to see what happens if that one goes like 4-1. It's just going to be so amusing listening to Rob talk about that. That will get airtime. Kieran Bailey, our very own resident Rusty Nuker, coming in with his Seraphon list. Now, this is very similar to the one we saw before, so it helps me no ends because I don't have to read out a lot of rules again. He's in the Fangs of Sotek on this one and Spellcasting Savant, because why wouldn't you when you're Seraphon? He's got the Celestial Resonance again, Space Folder Stay, so the 7-inch drop in when he brings in units, Drain Magic and Horfrost. He's got Old Crokey with him there, the Ashlith Bearer, Skink Starseer, and then he's actually gone a bit more into the battle line on this one. He's got 10 Source Guard, 5 Source Guard, and then 2 units of 10 Skinks, and then some Raptidon Chargers, throwing in a little bit of movement in that one. And then he's actually also got the Bastiladon with the Ark of Sotek, Geminids and Malevolent Maelstrom, coming in at 1985 in a 4-drop. I go, how high can I go? 3-drop.
4-drop.
4-drop, yeah, 4-drop, yeah, because Croak actually he has to be, actually, doesn't he? Yeah. 4-drop. We know Kieran loves his Seraphon, and he loves to really buff up his list and everything. So, your thoughts, Jason, on this one?
Very similar to the last one, just with a bit more battle line, which is quite nice to see. And Bastiladons is hard to kill as well.
Yeah.
I think this one's going to do well again. Unless you come up against a Null Myriad, you pretty much you'll see countless mortals flying everywhere all the time.
Absolutely, no. Yeah.
I do like that.
Yeah, exactly, and it's interesting to see that he's got more Swords Guard. I think he went into one tournament and he, if I remember correctly, he wasn't too happy with how little he had on Swords Guard. So whether or not he's actually added more in this one, I can't remember. But the idea he's got 10 no in one and 5 in the other. I assume Croak will get the 10 and the Starseer will get the 5. Guessing, but yeah, it has potential. Kieran, good luck on this one. I know you do generally well. Where does he currently sit?
1203.
1203. So yeah, good luck with that one, sir. We'll be rooting for you. And now we go on to the counter for Seraphon. Now, I do apologise to Leighton on this one. I have attempted to Google your surname on this one. This is Leighton Krokosinski. There we go. You can reprimand me if I got that wrong. But he's bringing the OBR Null Myriad list. Um, on this one, I turn to our resident guru on this one, Jason. He basically null myriad. Would you like to tell him what that does?
If the heroes, a lot of them have the keyword of Mortizan, the small heroes. So anything wholly within 9 inches of a Mortizan gets a 2-up spell ignore. Apart from, in his list, Catacross is a keyword locked into Mortis Praetorian, so he doesn't get it even if he's within 9 inches of him,
Well,
of them.
no, absolutely.
And that's literally, that is not Myriad, but that is the exact counter for Magic's basic Seraphon.
Absolutely. No, you're absolutely right on that one. He then has a Soul Reaper in this one with the Reinforced Construct spell. What does that one do, sir? Was I turn my light on?
4+ Mortal Ward.
4+ ward against mortal wounds. Okay, nice.
Even
Because
more Mortal
why
Ward
not? Why wouldn't they need that? Bone Shaper is his general with a Dark Acolyte. Dark Acolyte giving.
The first spell cast from the Law of the Mortizans, the OBR Law, if it's successfully cast, cannot be unbound.
Awesome. Yeah, so go from, like I said, just the law. Artisan's Key for his artifact.
The Bone Shaper heals 3 wounds or a Mortis Guard or Stalker unit on it. On a 3+, he can do his healing twice. So different units or the same unit.
Okay, so potential of bring back units. And then he has Hoarfrost on them. Then you got good old Catacross going in, doing what he does best. Is that a unit of 5? No, yeah, it's got to be a unit of 5 Death Riders.
Unit of 5 Death Riders, yeah.
Yeah. And then 30 Mortec Guard. So this is interesting to see. 30 Mortec Guard. A unit of 3 Mortis Guard to support Catacross, I expect. And then 2 units of 3 Stalkers. Coming in at 2k on the nose with the Antorian Acolytes and Battle Reg. I believe this one is a 4-drop again.
3.
3-drop. Oh, 3-drop. Okay, so it's 3
The Andorian
drop.
Acolytes can be 2 or 3 wizards.
2 or 3.
So
That's
Soul
right.
Reaper and
it's
Bone
gonna be a
Shaper is
3,
the
isn't
Acolyte.
it? Yeah.
Battle Reg for the rest.
Thoughts then, Jason, being our resident OBR player?
It is really interesting to see the Soul Reaper in there. You don't see him a lot because I can never get him to work. Let's put it that way. I can never get him to work, but I love the model. Everything else is fairly standard what you'll see across it. The Bone Shaper exactly as you see it. There isn't really much. 30 Mortec Guard is a bit more interesting. The Harvesters have gone down. Their abilities have got worse now, but with 30, I would expected maybe a Harvester in there instead of maybe one group of Stalkers, but the Stalkers hit so damn hard that I can't deny them.
No.
Mortis Guard is the meta list at the minute, but that's not to say Stalkers have not got a place in the army at all. I think OBR is one of those things. It's either going to absolutely destroy everything or fall very hard very quickly. So
yeah, no,
I hope it will do well. I always want OBR to do well.
It's nice to see a variance in what is normally a Mortis Guard and Death Riders with Catacross there. So it's nice to see a variance in that listing. So yeah, good luck to Leighton on that one. Where does he sit? Does he rank?
1504.
Okay, so yeah, he should know his stuff. Absolutely. Cool. Liam Woods, our first Nurgle list with Drowned Men. So he is taking, as I said, Drowned Men. Subfaction is a pre-game move for any Blight Lords and the General. They get to do that. The grand strategy is Blessed Desecration. So they have to choose a terrain piece wholly within the enemy territory, and then they have to control that by the end of the battle, or be controlling it at the end of the battle, should I say. They have the Lord of Afflictions in there with Overpowering Stench, which means that if there's enemy units within 7 inches of the general, they can't issue commands. And if there's any enemy unit wholly within 7 inches of the general, they can't receive any commands. So, for you potentially playing, keep that in mind if you want to at least receive commands from outside units.
You're in that. If there's a gap between it, they can't issue themselves, but other things can issue to them.
inside to it.
It's it's just a nice little twist on it there.
Yeah, absolutely. He has given his Lord of Afflictions the Incubatch and the Dolores Toxin, and then he has got the Split Horn Helm, which in this instance I didn't write it down. Do you know what the Split Horn Helm does, Jason?
Wait, some of it for me. Give me a second, I'll find out for you.
Yeah, sure. Sorry. Whilst he's checking that one out, though, in the meantime, he's brought in Spoilpox Scrivener, which is the first for me seeing that in the lists. Not to say it's bad by any means, I just don't know Nurgle well enough, clearly. Great Unclean One with the Stream of Corruption. So the Stream of Corruption is it's casting on a 7. And then casting on. I'm sure it's casting on 7. It's 7-inch range anyway. He chooses an enemy unit and he rolls a dice for every model inside that unit, and on a 5 up, it takes a mortal wound. He can actually declare that he wants to make it far further, in which case it doubles the range. But the unit that it hits takes mortal wounds on a 6 instead of a 5. What's
Now, after that is a 4+ ward.
4+ ward. That's nice. That is good, particularly in Nurgle as well. You know, they can be tanky, and with a 4+ ward, he's going to be hard to shift, I expect. Putrid Blight Kings coming in on that one with a unit of 5, a unit of 2 Blight Lords, a unit of 4 Blight Lords, and a unit of 10 Plague Bearers, and a Beast of Nurgle, just for a little laugh. 1918. Now, this is the curious thing. No battalions, which means, be it by decision or by error, means he's an 8-drop without taking any bonuses. Your thoughts, Jason?
I think it's got to have been just a little, for want of a better word, a brain fart not putting in the battalions in there. Because even if you don't care about the drops, you get something out of it.
Yeah.
Apart from that, I think it's got. If played correctly, this is a devastating list. But then you have to play it really sensibly to get all those bubbles working properly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It is quite a technical list, and just hope you don't come up against a Gotrek.
That's what I was going to say. Like, I fought for 5 Nurgle armies now, and every time I've just been very lucky to have Gotrek in there. When Gotrek's on the board, you must have run away Nurgle because he loved you. But I know, admittedly, they have said the Nurgle have been struggling over the last 6-8 months or so with the new books coming out. It's good to see them still being played because they do have the potential, but I can certainly see them being stifled with the output that opponents potentially have against them, and with like the lack of models on the board as well. Those Blight Lords are expensive. They do the job, don't get me wrong, but you just don't have as much presence. Good luck to you on this one, Mark. Where does Mark sit? Mark Wildman.
9012.
9012. Okay, so good luck to you on that one, Mark. Liam, not Mark. Sorry, Jason, I looked at the wrong list. Liam Woods is the Maggot King Nurgle.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what position he is?
Yeah, Liam 9012.
Oh, sorry. Okay, so I just said the wrong name. You gave the right number. Okay, so yeah. Liam in that case. Good luck, sir, and I hope you enjoyed the weekend. We then will move on to Mark Wildman, who's bringing another Soulblight list, Legion of Night. With this one then, very similar to the last one we saw. So Legion of Night is the potential countercharge option in the charge phase. Lust for Domination in this instance is control more grave sites.
Graveyards, yeah.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, okay, yeah. So same as last time. That's why I didn't write down my notes clearly. Vampire Lord on Zombie Dragon in this instance, though, is his general. Having the Unbending Will, so like we saw before, they can count as 2 on objectives for the summonable units, as long as they're wholly within 12 inches of the general. And then the Spirit Gale in this instance is Castle on 9 up. It does mortal wound to every enemy unit on the board, and then if the casting is a 9+. It actually does 2 mortal wounds to every enemy unit on the board. So that has an opportunity there. Then he has a second zombie dragon with a flaming weapon. Vampire Lord coming in with the Hoarfrost spell, and then Necromancer with Morbeg's Claw, and of course connected with that Merciless Blizzard, giving it potential of casting on a 10 if he wants to get that one off. 20 zombies, 20 zombies, 20 Death Rattle skeletons, 10 Death Rattle skeletons, 20 Graveguard. With Antorian Acolyte and Battle Reg, he's 2k in the nose on a 4-drop. Thoughts, Jason? I know where we struggle with this kind of list.
Lots and lots of models on the board there. Zombie dragons, big models as well. And he's still able to get, even with 2 zombie dragons and 2 other heroes, 90 models on the board.
Soulblight should not be outnumbering Skaven and Gits on the board. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah, I always struggle with SBL because it's just numbers. They're not hard to kill, but then the numbers, they just keep coming. They're always coming back, always appearing somewhere.
And I think if he goes up against a shooting list, I expect he could find it harder because, take out those units before they get close, particularly those zombies, which do the mortals in combat on death and everything. But against combat lists, this has potential. Unless you can really kind of clear those zombies with a chaff unit that you don't mind potentially taking 8 to 10 mortal wounds back, or potentially even more than that sort of thing. It could be quite scary. And 120 points for 20 zombies as well. I just have to say that's just too cheap. That's too cheap for zombies. You don't see my Gits getting a mortal wound output when they die at 120 points. So, not that I'm being biased at all. So with that one though, Mark, good luck. Where does Mark sit?
5860.
5860. Good luck, Mark, on that one. We then come into another OBR list. This time it's Petrifex Elite. So taking a slightly different list lineup on this one. What does Petrifex Elite do, Jason?
-1 to wound for Harvesters, Morghast,
Immortis? Is it
Yeah,
only
as
the
well.
big models? And
I think it is a Mortis guard as well, yeah.
Yeah.
So
I
basically,
think
the bigger creations
the
rather
bigger
than
the
more
ones,
tech.
yeah. Petrifex Elite, a good option when you if you had those sorts of things in there. We've got Catacross, a standard, a Bone Shaper with exactly as we had before with Dark Acolyte, Artisan's Key, and the Reinforced Constructs. And then he's got an Ossifector in there with the Empower Naderite Weapons. From his battle line, he's got 5 Death Riders, 6 Immortis Guard, 6 Immortis Guard, and then he's finishing it off with 2 Morghast Archive, Battle Edge, 2k on the nose, 1 drop. Jason, your thoughts, especially as it's Petrifex?
Petrifex always used to be the go-to because it lowered rend by 1. I still think there's a lot of play in Petrifex Elite with -1 to wound. It's so hard to find abilities that +1 to wound on armies.
Yeah.
I think it could be really useful. I think Null Myriad is probably, at this particular point with the prevalence of Seraphon, is probably a little bit better, but I want to see how this does because I'd love to see Petrifex Elite do work properly again. The units he's got, it's a fairly standard list. The Immortus Guard, I've played with 6 Immortus Guard, they're just hard to shift. With Catacross on the board, it's 30 wounds on a 2-up save. They just don't go anywhere.
No.
And then you've got healing from Catacross, healing from the Bone Shaper. The Ossifector will buff the Morghast up. And I'm pretty sure there's a few different things it can do, but the one that I would think to do will be increasing its rend. So the halberds on those Morghast will be -3 rend for 3 damage each.
Wow.
And multiple attacks.
Attacks, yeah.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to actually fight with those.
Yeah, exactly. Like I fought Jason's list with the Immortus Guard, so I know how hard it is to shift them at times, and so having 12 on the board is a scary thought. But with the Morghast in there, they got good speed, haven't they?
The Morghast, yeah, they're not quite as good as the old versions of them because they used to have a 3d6 charge, but 10-inch fly and move.
Yeah.
Remember, OBR's got the ability to add 3 inches onto that, so up to 13 inches. 12-inch charge will be 25-inch threat range.
Yeah.
If they charge with a 8 or more, 9 or more, 8 or more, they get strike first as well. So
I thought they did. Yeah, I was
they,
going to say I'm sure I read something before that they should get strike first. So
a
yeah,
good charge and hitting two of those six attacks. It'll be threes. Well, actually, with Catacross, twos, threes, -3 for 3. It can wipe out units before you even get a chance to think about it.
and they fly as well, don't they?
Yeah, they fly. Yeah, so
Yeah,
they can
they
go
fly,
straight
so-
over things.
Go straight for those little synergizing models. So if you are opposed, if you are coming against this army, just be careful with those Morghast. There may only be 2 models on the board, but if played with correctly, I've had it happen to me when Jason's used them in the past. They can do their business. They can do it well.
That was your Fire Scales army, wasn't it?
It was indeed, sir. It was. My heroes did not like it one bit. Where does Max Barton sit, ranking wise?
66.
66.
Nice and high. Really high up
Wow,
on the
so
board with the
it's-
OBR list.
It's nice to see a really good player taking something like Petrifex Elite instead of like Null Myriad or one of the others that are more the mainstream. Max, good luck, sir. Good luck on that one. Mira Berry's coming in with Host of Slanesh, Invaders host in this instance. So she has got Selfish Desire. So once again, do not bring in any of the summoning units. The Invaders options, though, there's all Invaders heroes are counted as generals, even if they're not the models we depicted as general. In addition, whenever an Invaders hero carries out a heroic action on a 2-up, they can then allow another Invaders hero to on the battlefield to carry it out at the same time. Now, the great thing about this is if that successfully goes off, it then has a ripple effect across the heroes. Essentially, you can almost get all your heroes carrying a heroic action. Note, it has to be the same heroic action. It cannot be different ones. So you can easily get yourself up to 3 or 4 command points if you're going for the command point buff. You can have best day ever across all your heroes. So the options are there. In addition, though, the great thing about Invaders is instead of picking a standard heroic action, you can actually instead pick one eligible command trait from the Invaders command traits listing that they do not already have, and then it's considered to have that command trait until the end of that turn. And when you're considering the idea that they have the options of adding 1 to their attack characteristics whilst they're within 6 inches of another hero, that's one option. Another option is at the end of the combat phase, if any enemy units are destroyed in that phase and that general is on the battlefield, you get an additional command point. Not so great, but still an option. And then finally, Hurler of Obscenities. At the start of the combat phase, you can pick one enemy unit within 6 inches of that model. Until the end of that phase, the enemy gets +1 to hit, but they also then have -1 to their save rolls. Now, the great thing that has been discussed on this front is with the Invaders, where you get to kind of double, triplicate, quadruple the same thing again and again and again. If you can get like 3 or 4 heroes around that particular unit you want to destroy, do Hurler of Obscenities 3 or 4 times, they get a +3/+4 to hit. But ultimately, it's negligible because you can only ever go to +1 at most. But then when it comes to the save characteristic, they can go to -3, -4 rend, even before adding on what you have. It has potential. So that's the benefits from being in the Invaders. He has Keeper of Secrets as his general with the Shining Aegis, giving a 5-up ward save, which is great. It becomes a little bit null afterwards when you start getting your depravity points up. His command trait, her command trait, sorry, in this one is best of the best. So basically, so long as they're within 1 inch of, within 6 inches of a different hero, they get +1 to attacks characteristic of their combat weapons, which is needed for a Seeker, Keeper of Secrets. Then it has 2 spells because they've used a Warlord capability to give them an additional buff to their magic casting. So he's got Flaming Weapon and Levitate, so that Keeper can fly and also come in with damage and extra attacks. She then has chosen Celeste, which I love. Great model, one that I really like and want to use a lot, with a Lash of Slaanesh and Hysterical Frenzy. The Lash of Slaanesh is casting value of 6 and 12 inches. If successfully cast, you pick an enemy unit within range and roll number dice equal to the number of models in that unit. Now, for each 5-up, you subtract 1 from their attacks characteristic of the unit's melee weapons to a minimum 1 until your next hero phase. So has potential there. And then he also has Hysterical Frenzy, which is casting value of 7, 18-inch range. If successfully cast, you pick 1 enemy unit within range and roll a number of dice equal to the unit's bravery characteristic, and for each 6, they suffer D3 mortal wounds. Moving on from there, though, Sigvald, good old Siggy, you gotta love him. You got a Contorted Epitome, more or less a must for any Slaanesh army, with Hoarfrost and Merciless Blizzard. The idea that he can reroll his casting rolls as a Contorted Epitome gives that just potential to go off again, and it's a 2-cast anyway. Shard Speaker of Slaanesh with the same spells, Hoarfrost and Merciless Blizzard, just kind of reinforcing that opportunity. Now, heavy in the points in this one, I think I worked out 1,140 points into the heroes, which does not leave much for the battle line. 11 Blissbarb Archers, 5 Seekers, and 20 Demonettes, and then 5 Slick Blade Seekers, Ace of Void Pendulum, and the Dreadful Visage, with a Warlord and Antorian Acolytes were 1990 on a 9-drop. Now, the only other thing I would say about this one, because I'm not sure if you know what the Dreadful Visage does, Jason, is the end of spell, one of the end of spells for Slaanesh. Basically, you roll 6 dice for the closest enemy unit, and on a 4+, it does mortal wounds. And if any of those mortal wounds go through, that unit then has Strike Last rule against it. So pretty nice. In addition, it's a -1 bravery to enemy units if they're within 12 inches of the spell, and +1 bravery to your own units if they're within 12 inches of the spell. Thoughts?
Not a lot of numbers there, but the heroes themselves are very good and buffed up the way they're going to be. They're going to rip through things. My query would be, do you have enough board presence?
Yeah.
20 Demonettes, yes, that's a lot. There, 20 models, but Demonettes do go down fairly quickly.
Yeah.
But I still think it could do quite well, but I feel like it's going to be an interesting list to fight to see actually how that one will play out.
Yeah, it comes across to me almost as if the heroes are saying to their army, "Hold my beer," sort of mentality, and they go off and do all the work, and the rest of the army just sit back and cheer for them. Don't get me wrong, the slipbacks do have movement, speed, and they can do stuff. But you're right, 20 Demonettes, they are quite paper thin. They do rally back on a 5. They have a natural rally back on a 5. But still, and the Seekers are super fast. Yeah, they have a 14-inch move, they can run and charge in the same turn. And if they actually do damage, if they kill a model, they get +1 attack for the rest of the battle. That can kind of accumulate over each combat phase, so they can go up, but it's only 5 Seekers, so that's 10 wounds on a 5-up save again.
Your Seekers, remember, also run on 2d6 instead of d6.
Oh, okay, yeah. That's something I did completely forgot about.
And can still charge after that, so it's...
And charge, yeah.
14 inches.
26.
Yeah, then a charge on top of that. Basically, so anywhere on the board.
As I say, if you want to hit an opponent on another opponent on a different board, they can make it happen. So yeah, it'll be cool. Where does Mira sit currently on the rankings table?
6822.
6822. So good luck with that one, Mira. It'll be interesting to see if your heroes do hold out for you. Moving on then to Nathan Watson from Valhalla Wargaming, bringing in our second Stormcast Eternals list with the Celestial Vindicators. I can change my page on notes on this one. He's gone in with the Stormkeep, which means that on objectives they count as 3 when they're contesting. Celestial Vindicators means that one unit after charging per turn, 1 unit after charging, they can have exploding 6s. Which doesn't sound a lot, but we have to remember that this book is the first book that came out, and at the time it sounded great. Now they're kind of throwing out like sweets, candy and everything. So it doesn't sound great, but it's still something. Slaughter of Sorcery, kill all those damn wizards. He's brought in a Celestant Prime, which is a great model to have on the board. A Lord Imperatant with the Eater of Magic, so he can make enemies forget spells if he successfully dispels it. And the Nullstone Icon, which that's the one where you can keep dispelling, isn't it, if he's successful? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so great little kind of combination there with the two there. And then he actually has an ally in from LRL, the Light of Itharion. We did check this one, and it turns out he's potentially the only LRL model out there that is not wizard keyworded. I'm sure there's others, but few and far between. So he's fine on that one. 5 Vindictors, 10 Vindictors, 10 Vindictors, and then he's got 3 Annihilators with Meteoric Grand Hammers, and then a further 6 Annihilators with Meteoric Grand Hammers, all in a Battle Edge at 1980. Your thoughts, Jason?
So Stormkeep, I'm pretty sure are the ones that can put up in the heavens, put your men up in the heavens, isn't it?
No. That's Signs of the Storm.
That's Signs of the Storm. Yes, you are right. So, is there a way of getting those? The Annihilators, 6 Annihilators. 3's powerful enough. 3's scary enough to fight. 6 of those. That's going to be an interesting block to get rid of. Don't get me wrong, I have killed Annihilators before, even with OBR, but that's a lot there. His battle line, it's powerful enough, but I mean, it is pretty much, it seems like it's tick the box sort of, fill in the gap sort of jobby.
Yeah.
His main force is Annihilators and Heroes, but lots of ball presence, even with that, what seems like a small list.
I think you're right on that one, because like Celestin Prime will go off and do something. He has capability of it. Light of Itharion is a one-man army. I always say he's a mirror image of Sigvald, if not a little better. But yeah, that's 25 Vindictors. And if you have diverse Vindictors on an objective, that's 30. That counts 30 then until they start taking wounds. The other thing I would say as well, Stormkeep, that after the 3rd battle round, when an enemy unit finishes a charge against a Vindictor unit, you roll a dice, and on a 3-up, they suffer D3 mortal wounds. So if you are fighting these Vindictors, get into combat before the 3rd battle round.
The other thing for those 10 units, 2-inch range attacks, so they'll be able to fight in 2 ranks. A 10-man unit has 21 attacks, and 6s to hit do a mortal wound instead. So they are still hunting for 6s do mortals as well as.
Was that on the Vindictors?
3/3 -1 for 1. Yeah, Vindictors.
That's kind of cool.
That's on their war scroll, so.
Wow, end of their time.
6s. I wonder how that would interact with 6s explode as well, because that's 2 actions happening off the same roll.
Exploding 6s to hit.
Yeah.
Is that 6s to wound the mortals?
6s to hit is the mortals.
Oh, so he'll have to choose.
For that one unit he chooses for exploding hits, do you do mortals or do you do extra hits?
I know which one I'll go for. It depends on the opponent you're going into. I think going into Shaft, you want more hits. gain something a little bit elite. You want Immortals, I expect.
Mm. Either
So
way.
yeah, a cool little list there, and it's great to see Stormcast out there again. Where does Nathan sit?
811.
811.
So
So
he knows what he's doing.
he knows what he's doing. Good luck, Nathan, on that one. I hope you do your group proud. Going on to another name, which I must apologise in advance for trying to pronounce. Once again, Google has helped me out on this one. Nick Oglisco is bringing Sylvaneth Oakenbrow. Plenty of notes on this one because I don't know them too well. Oakenbrow Glade basically means that when they're working out the damage table after taking wounds for any tree lords, the half the wounds, and that's why it counts on the line as opposed to their full wounds that they've taken. So basically, they're fighting harder than they normally should be. Spellcasting Savant, so keeping their locust alive. That's actually something I didn't check, Jason. The season dwindling. I didn't actually check that, I have to admit. Would you be able to check that out for me?
Yeah.
Whilst I continue. In the meantime, though, Spirit of Durthu is in there with the Greenwood Gladius, which means that at the start of his combat phase, he rolls a d3 and adds that onto his attacks. Now, take it from me, having been a victim of Durthu time and time again, it hurts when he adds d3 attacks. He then has a Warsong Revenant as his general, with the command trait of Spell Singer. So this allows him to cast from an Awakened Wildwood. So that's where he can do the spellcasting from.
The dwindling will be working on him. You can re-roll one casting roll, one unbinding roll, and one dispelling roll, as long as the wizards.
Oh, have we lost Jason? Have we lost Jason? We may have lost Jason. Let's just see what happens on that front. But in the meantime, I will continue. Just make sure it's not me. No, it's not. Okay, we'll then continue with the Tree Lord Ancient. Oh, no, sorry. His Deepwood Spell Tree Song means it's a range of 16. He picks one Wildwood, and then it's +1 Rend if any friendly units are wholly within 9 inches of that tree song. So pretty cool on that one. Tree Lord Ancient is then in there with the Vespral Gem, another artifact which allows him to auto cast a spell that's from the lore of the Sylvaneth spell list. So you can't do it with the frozen spells. It's unstoppable, and you can do that once per turn. But when he does, he rolls a dice, and on a 1, he suffers D3 mortal wounds. He's got this spell Regrowth, which is a range of 18, and basically is a healing spell, D6 to the unit he uses it on. He then has a Night Judicator with Gryph-hounds as an ally unit, and that is a shooting unit, 13-inch range normally, and then once per battle, instead of shooting, he can select a point on the battlefield, 6-inch diameter, I believe it is, and any enemies caught in that take D3 mortal wounds per unit. And then keeping this rather simple and light, he has a Tree Lord, 5 Spite Revenants, Spite Swarm Hive, there goes our friend there, he'll be back in a moment I expect, in a Battle Red, and a Command Entourage for 4-drop at 1970. Now, as Jason's not here, I'll just kind of do my thoughts on this one. I thought something very similar to this at a tournament not so long ago, the Feud of the Fens, and the idea that the Wildwoods just allows those Tree Lords to get around super fast, not that they really need it with their movement. Durthu is a killing machine. You get him, if he gets into combat, he'll cut up anything he comes into combat with. Tree Lords, though, are not to be sniffed at. They each have their own shooting spell, attack, and combat. So that really works well for them. Spite Revs are in there to go and capture objectives. And then he has a Spite Swarm Hive. Jason, welcome back, sir. Just going to let him just jump in whilst that's happening. Yeah, it's a straightforward Sylvaneth list in this instance. Welcome back, sir.
Yeah, sorry about that. I don't know
It's
what
all
happened there.
good. It's all good. I was worried that it would maybe my internet that crashed. And I was like, oh, there goes the whole entire stream. But no, we're good. We're good. So, um, any thoughts on this one? I've just gone to the list and I've given my thoughts. Any thoughts for yourself?
From what I can remember, I like Sylvaneth. I think it's a really nice techie army. Warsong Revenant, I still think is weird to be equivalent of Champion now a Locust because of. I feel like it should be more wounds.
Mm-hmm.
So go into the next bracket. But apart from that, yeah, no, I like the list. I need to get back into it to actually give you more details than that. But
No, that's cool. Well, I'm happy to kind of move on in this instance, unless you did want to discuss this further. I talked about the Night Judicator having that once per battle area of effect mortal wounds. And just to say as well, the Night Judicator starts alone and then they can bring in their 2 Gryph-hounds. Why it doesn't just start with all 3 models on the wall, I don't know. But I'm sure there's a reason around that. So yes. In this instance, he's 93 wounds, so light on that. Very IDK level of wounds, and on a 4-drop as well, 1970. It's a good list. I don't know if you have it written down, Jason. What's Nick's ranking?
6123.
6123. So good luck, Nick, with that. I hope you do well, and it'll be interesting to see how you go. We then move on to Richie McCallie with Flesh Eater Courts. So he's gone with the subfaction Morgaunt. Now, as we go through this list, you'll come to see, I'm not actually going to read too much into the subfaction as, to be honest, the rule affects courtiers, and he has no courtiers in his army, so I'm not actually going to go too detail into his subfaction. It's probably because, as it's an old book, you're forced to take a certain artifact, you're forced to take a certain command ability. You don't get to choose like you do with new books. So yes, but in this list, there's Spellcasting Savant, keep his wizard alive, Nagash in a Feck list. So this will be curious to see. He has Nagash in there. He has an Abhorrent Archregent with a Savage Chivalry. In this instance, then, basically he gets to reroll ones whilst units get to reroll ones whilst they are 12 inches within 12 inches of a general, and that's for his ghouls. Now it's not wholly within; it's just within, so that's pretty cool. He has a Hoarfrost spell, which is straightforward enough. He then has an Abhorrent Ghoul King with Decrepit Coronet. With that one, that is the artifact in this instance. Yeah, basically Battle Shock immunity, 12-inch bubble around the holder of it. Kind of curious on that, and I will come back to that. He has spell Levitate, so cool. Gets him around a bit faster if he needs to. Reinforced twice Crypt Ghouls, so 30 Crypt Ghouls, 30 Crypt Ghouls, 10 Crypt Ghouls, Umbral Spell Portal, Maelstrom, Malevolent Maelstrom, and then his Throne Piece in a 3-drop at 1980. Now, the one thing I'm just going to bring up at this point is the Decrepit Coronet. I'm curious why he may not put it on his general, because when it's on the general, it's actually an 18-inch bubble of Battle Shock immunity. At the moment, it's on the Abhorrent Ghoul King, who's not his general, so it's only 12 inches. So, kind of curious, but he should have owned this one. Yeah, go on.
That Ghoul King moves up with the Crypt Ghouls. Gives him the battle shock, because the other guy, the Archregent Spellcasting Savant, he needs to keep him alive.
True. 18-inch bubble is pretty damn big.
Well, it's big enough, yeah.
Okay, admittedly, it's not on a catacross, so it's not board wide, but it's still. I can see what you're saying, though. So you're not so worried about your Abhorrent Ghoul King dying, and he can look after those ghouls, I guess. And 12 inches is nothing to sniff at. What's your thoughts?
Nagash, I still feel sad for Nagash because he doesn't work in OBR. If he's in a list, it's always going to be tight what you can help, so you can get in there at 900 points.
Yeah.
So he's done what he can do. 30 Crypt Ghouls, we've seen before what they can do, because the attacks, and when you boosts them up in certain ways, they get crazily good.
Yeah.
It's mainly Nagash, especially in the magic meta we're in at the minute. Nagash is king. Oh, apart from him and Croak are king, basically.
Yeah. With his, just remember, guys, that Nagash gets a +3 to his casting. I know it goes down with his wounds taking and everything. I'm sure it's +3, maybe +4 actually. It's ridiculous amount. Saying that though, however, even though he's got Nagash taking up more or less half of his points, he has got 70 models on the board. So it's not exactly limited on numbers on that one. And Nagash, he's brought the spell portal as well, so Nagash can do his little finger through the spell portal. So be careful of any of your individual synergizing models if you face up against this list. Possibly the option that comes through there. And being Nagash doing that, he'll very successfully get the Umbra spell portal off. And then likewise with his finger of Nagash.
Can't get a model.
Sorry?
I'm always scared of him doing that to Catacross.
Oh yeah, because yours doesn't have auto slay, denial of auto slay, does it?
Auto slay rule, so he could kill Catacross, which is the 20 wounds on a 2-up save in one turn, one hit.
And it's a 50-50 chance. I had it done to me at the feuds. It failed once, and it succeeded on another occasion, killing off one of my wizards. Originally, it was only a Gitz wizard, but still, yeah. The idea you have a 50-50 chance, it's it's awful. It's awful.
Nagash gets +3 to casting, and it doesn't degrade.
Oh, doesn't degrade. Oh, okay. My apologies.
As he takes more wounds, he can cast less spells.
Yeah.
But I mean, he starts on 8, and only when he hits 10 wounds does he lose 2 of those, and then it goes down to a minimum of 4.
This is ridiculous.
He still can cast pretty damn well.
He's outcasting Croak, that's for sure. Awesome. No, that's cool. That's cool. Where does Richie sit ranking wise?
Richie 180.
180.
Yeah, 180. So a really high ranking.
That's really cool. Now, good luck on this one, Richie. The one thing that caught me and I'm interested as well in this one, he didn't have any Terrorgeists, which have been the bane of my life every time I've fought Feck. So it'll be really curious to see how that plays out. Ross Mason coming in now with Nurgle Drowned Men, so our second Drowned Men list. In this instance, then, Drowned Men, like we had before, basically for his Lord of Afflictions and the Blade Lords, they get a pre-game move. Tender Garden Grand Strategy, basically no enemies within 3 inches of the Feculent Narmals on the board. In addition, he has to have brought in a Feculent Narmal wholly within the enemy territory. So that's a hard one. That can be quite hard to kind of accomplish. He's got, smashing my keyboard. He's got Lord of Afflictions though as his general with the overpowering stench. So once again, with that one, it's the idea that no command, the command ability 7-inch bubble, receiving and issuing if you're within or wholly within. And then Splithorn Helm, which is the 4-up ward again for his general. He then has actually brought in an ally with the mask from Slaanesh. So that's definitely worth discussing. So I'm just watching my dog do something weird. Oh no. Sorry. Such thing. There you go, my dog's falling over now. Anyway, Spoiled Fox Scrivener, bringing in a Dormant because he has no spellcasters, with a pouch of Null Dust. He then has, ready for this? Blight Lords. 4 Blight Lords, 2 Blight Lords, 2 Blight Lords, 2 Blight Lords, and then a single Blight Lord because why not? That's 11 Blight Lords in his battlefield, and then he has a Cygor reinforcing that anti-magic. Battle Reg, 2k on the nose. What are your thoughts, Jason?
So many Blight Lords flying around, and they are always very hard to kill.
They are.
Even when I'm hitting them with really high rend, they just seem to just shrug most of it off, which is annoying. Lots of movement, lots of abilities sort of flying around, impact hits from the Blight Lords. I don't know how to counter this list apart from hunt down the Blight Lords and overpower them. Just put as many attacks into as possible to knock them off the board. It's the only thing I can think
It's
of.
easy, Jason. What you do, you get a dwarf called Gotrek. You put him in the middle of the board, and you just let him have a time of his life. It's worked for me. It should work for you. Yeah. Oh wait, you can't go in your factions. It's curious to see the mask. I assume he's going to use the mask for an early killing option. Well, it doesn't actually have to at the beginning of the game, but he could teleport that mask in and clear a synergizing character, a mini model, or just do some a massive pact of damage. Because it starts on 6 attacks, but then he can actually add 3 attacks to the model, giving him 9 attacks. And I believe it's 3s and 3s, -1 for 2 damage, or even -2 for 2 damage. So, he can kick out when he needs to. And then he's also got Cygor, which, if this is this Cygor, it's crazy we don't see this more yet. I expect we will. 30-inch bubble. If a enemy wizard successfully casts, it takes D6 mortals. So is it maybe even D3 mortals, something like that? And then if he dispels an endless spell, he heals himself. So he's the epitome of anti-magic. So yeah, are you actually bringing that up? Are you?
Yeah, I haven't actually looked at him before, so it's quite interesting. If every time a wizard within 30 inches to any of friendly users' ability successfully casts a spell, and that spell is not unbound, they suffer a mortal.
Immortal. Oh, okay.
He can attempt to unbind to himself, and he can consume endless spells to heal.
That's right. Yeah. So it's kind of cool.
And decent attacks on him as well.
Yeah.
16 wounds on a 5-up save. Nothing to be
Nothing to sniff at. Definitely not. Definitely not. Kind of cool. Nice. That's like 350 points worth of allies there. So awesome. Ross, good luck, sir. Where does Ross sit in the rankings at the moment?
1-2-1-0.
1-2-1-0. Okay. So respectfully high up there. Sam Rayner coming in with Blades of Khorne, Bloodlords. Now I've got a lot of notes on this one because there's a lot of going on this on this list. So he comes in with the Bloodlords subfaction. Basically, it means that the Bloodmaster and his Herald of Khorne on the Blood Throne. Basically, when they attempt to do decapitating blows, happens on a 5+ instead of a 6+ if they charged in the same turn. So that's his subfaction bonus. Slaughter of Sorcery, kill all the wizards because that's Khorne through and through. He has a Bloodthirster of Infected Fury with the Halo of Blood, which basically means he strikes first. Ouch. You got a Bloodmaster of Unholy Flames, which is casting value 4 and 16-inch range. He can give it to a friendly unit and it gives him an additional rend. He has a Slaughter Priest with the Blood Sacrifice spell, which is a casting value 4, 18-inch range. You pick a friendly unit, they take D3 mortals, then you gain an extra blood tithe point. Blood Secretor with the Banner of Blood, which is any units wholly within 16 inches of it can reroll charges. You then have the actual general coming out now, the Herald of Khorne on a Blood Throne. He has the Embodiment of Wrath, which basically means in the hero phase, he can let, it's a 16-inch range, and he can, with the Bloodletter units, he can return on each unit on 2+ D3 Bloodletters. So in a 16-inch bubble, and as you'll see in his list, he has those Bloodletters available. He also has the Forever Killer Instinct, which is casting value of 3, 16-inch range. They pick a friendly unit at least 3 inches outside of an enemy unit, and if so, they can move. It's a normal move, so you can't move into combat. Please note that one. Then he has 20 Bloodletters, 10 Bloodletters, 10 Blood Reavers, 10 Blood Reavers, 10 Blood Reavers. 3 Wrathmongers. Oh no, 5 Wrathmongers, 5 Wrathmongers. And then he has his 2 invocations. Now the Hexgorger Skulls is a ranged element. I think it's 12-inch range. -2 to casting if you're within that range for wizards. And I think I need to just double check this one. I don't know if you can check this, Jason, on the Hexgorger Scars.
Yeah.
D6 mortals to wizards if oh no, that's it. It's a D6 mortals to wizards if they're within 8 inches of this invocation, and the rolling, unmodified rolling for casting is an 8. In addition, if that all goes off, they forget the spell that they're doing. Now, to add to that, it's not just the wizard casting that takes D6 mortal wounds, it's all wizards in that 8-inch bubble take D6 mortal wounds. Get that in the right place and it's gonna go ham.
Can wipe out backline heroes straight off.
Exactly. And then the other invocation is the Bleeding Icon, which is no inspiring presence is allowed within its range bubble, which I think is a 12-inch range bubble off the top of my head. Now remember, these aren't endless spells, these are invocations. So unless you have a priest in your army, there's little you can do about them. Gotta love invocations. Saying that as a 5-Slayer player, not as a Khorne player. And then he has a Skull Altar, and he's got a Battle Rage and a Warlord, 1990, and I believe this one I made out was a 6-drop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5-drop. 6-drop, yeah, 6-drop with the Bloodthirster. Lots of bodies, Jason. What are your thoughts?
Don't underestimate the bloodletters.
Yeah.
That's my main fear for this one. I fought them in the last match, and they don't seem like much. Bloodletters, 20 models. I'm just getting up now. That is 40 wounds on a 5-up save, which is enough, but 5-up save. They don't die easily. They have loads of attacks, 2-inch range attack, 2 attacks a model, so they get a lot of attacks in. 6s to hit do a mortal instead.
Wow.
That you can buff that to a 5 or 6 does a mortal instead.
Okay.
I can't remember how it happened, but I know it can happen. So there's they're hunting 5s and 6s. The mortals go flying for those guys. Just don't underestimate them on objectives. Simple as that, really.
No, and to be honest, with his Blood Reavers also there's just lots of holding potential, isn't there?
Oh yeah, you have to get a lot of fighting in there to actually get an objective off them.
Yeah.
Khorne at the minute with their anti-magic is okay. They've always had it, but with the prevalence of magic at the minute, it just makes them very scary to play against.
Yeah.
Unless you're
I would agree.
got an IDK with no wizards.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. And he's got Bloodthirst in his army, so there's a lot nice little punchy power there. And then he's got all his synergizing heroes. So this would be quite interesting. What position? Because I bet he's quite confident on this one. Where does Sam Rayner sit?
2952.
2952. So Sam, loving the list, loving the build on it, and good luck. I think you could do well on that one. Now, we actually have one of the Warrior Lodge team actually playing here. Stephen Bennett is coming. And we don't know what his list is. The last guest list was Skaven. So what's this one going to be? Why, but of course, it is also Skaven. Right, so in this list, once again, no subfaction because it is Skaven. He's got Thanquol, and he's done the sensible thing of having 2 braziers, 2 projectors on Thanquol. He's got 2 spells on this one with Death Frenzy and Skitterleap. He then has a Plague Priest with Rabid Rabid. Now the Plague Priest Rabid Rabid will buff Plague Monks, and it does really well when it works. Warlock Engineer is his general with the Skilled Leader trait, meaning that he can get an additional command point on a 5-up, a box standard one. And then he has a Griff Feather Charm, which is a 6-up ward. And then he has the Horfos spell. Go on. Okay, cool. Now, this is interesting and very curious. He's then brought in One-Eyed Grunnock, the giant for Chaos. So he's got a giant in his army. He then has 20 Plague Monks, 20 Clan Rats, 20 Clan Rats, a Healthy Abomination, and then 2 Warp Lightning Cannons and Ravnax Gnashing Jaws. 1980 doesn't care about the drops on this one. Jason's just doing a rule check on something which should be curious. I assume I just got to check something. You go on.
With Feather Charm. That is the artifact from the realm last battle, last GHB.
It's not in the artifacts.
No, that's a 5-up ward, technically. The nearest one to it is now Amulet of Destiny on a 6-up ward.
Oh. Okie dokie. I will let the organisers know. Didn't want to bring that out and everything.
Yeah, that's sorry.
Sorry.
It's an easy mistake to make, put it that way.
Oh,
We've
absolutely.
all done them.
Particularly with the War Scroll builder, I think if you have a look, it actually has it on there, and they put archive against it or archive. They should really kind of clear that. That'd be fantastic if you can do that if you're involved in the War Scroll builder. One thing I just want to say from our side, whenever we kind of go over these lists before the stream, we try to pick up and alert the TOs to any mistakes or any errors that we pick up on. In this instance, we didn't on this one, so I do apologise that this has come up through the stream, but we will let the TOs know, and then they can speak to the individual. Thank you though, Jason, on that one. Yeah, so in this instance, though, he has gone with a Warlord battalion, which allowed Thancred to take second spell. The other thing I will point out, though, is we should tell them that the Warlock Engineer should also be allowed a second spell as well. So there's a bonus to us on this one for picking up on that too.
Yeah.
Now the Braziers. I don't know if anyone's ever fought Thancred before. The projectors, sorry. Basically, when he fires them, you roll for every model in the unit. You roll a number of dice equal to the Braziers, and then on each 4-up, it does a mortal wound. You can actually get up to 4 projectors, so it could be really lethal clearing chaff. But when you do that, it makes him virtually ineligible for combat. He has something, but not great. Having 2 Braziers, though, gives him a bit more punch power in the combat arena when he's forced to get into combat, which quite often does happen. Your thoughts, though, Jason?
Really nice. It's got one of my favourite endless spells. Actually, you've got at the minute. Ravnax Gnashing Jaws. I love that endless spell. It's really good against certain armies. Other armies does next to nothing. Warp Lightning Cannons, always good fun. They're like as much likely to hurt you as they are to blow up themselves, but that's Skaven. Skaven's just generally quite a fun list to play against because anything could happen. He could kill your army in one shot, or he could blow up his entire army in one turn. There's a lot of holding power in there. The Plague Monks, don't underestimate them when they've got the right bonuses on them.
Yeah.
They get a bit scary, a bit being an understatement there. And help, it's big monster, powerful, doesn't go down easily. They can come back, I think, at the end, can't he?
Has the opportunity to come back after dying, not from a Molder hero or anything like that. He has it built into his War Scroll. In addition to that, he will get to choose a. He's got 5 creations on here for the Hellpit Abomination. I assume that's the bonus that he gets because he can choose something to kind of give a little bit of an extra buff to the Abomination. But like you said, whilst Jason's checking that, Gnashing Jaws, it's a great mortal wound output. Anything like dwarfs hate it because it's based against your movement, and it can hurt. It can hurt a lot of armies, but still, particularly dwarfs and everything. Are you able to bring it up with Jason?
Yeah, I'm just trying to give me 2 seconds.
Yeah.
From the below. Well, he's chosen the one just called Hellpit, hasn't he?
Yeah, it's called Price
Price
Creation, Hellpit
Creation.
Abomination. Yeah.
Okay, that's something else. Needs to be clarified. Let's put it that way. It needs to be clarified.
Unfortunately, it's won the Warrior Lodge group, so I'm sure I bet he probably brought his list together and everything. And it's curious to see with one like Grunnock as well. Great 35 wound giant in there. Don't ever see that normally. So yeah, that's it's cool. Even I assume he's playing for himself and everything. Where does Stephen stand in the rankings?
1159.
1159. Stephen, I hope you have a fantastic event for you and your team, but good luck in there as well. Now, I'm sure this isn't the individual's name, but we shall know it, therefore, as the Warrior Lodge. We've got Head Knights of Slaanesh. Let's see what they brought in on this one. So they've come in with the Pretenders in this instance. And they've gone with Selfish Desire. So once again, don't bring any people in. Now with the Pretenders army type, basically the hero, his general, whilst he's on the board, when you normally get 1 command point at the beginning of the game, he gets 3 if they're still on the battlefield. And then in addition, the general can issue the same command up to 3 times in the same phase. If he does, the first one costs a point, the following 2 do not. So he has the opportunity to do it up to 3 times. In this instance, he's got Sigvold, good old Siggy, taking out the front line there. Contorted Epitome with Merciless Blizzard and Born of Damnation. As we will see, all his spellcasters have 2 because he's taken a Warlord battalion and he's added on the extra spell ability. His general is the Keeper of Secrets with Strength of Godhood. So in this instance, if this general issues a command to a friendly Head Knights of Slaanesh unit, until the end of that turn, he can improve the rend characteristic of his general's melee weapons, so all of them, by 1 and add 1 to damage. Now, this was nerfed after people were discovering, oh, hang on a second, what happens if he does it several times because he is a general and he can issue the same command up to 3 times in each phase? You can't do that anymore, guys. Okay, it has been capped. You can only do it once per turn. He still has a Shining Aegis though, so that is a 5-up ward save. And then he also has the Crown of Dark Secrets, which is at the start of your first hero phase. You pick 1 enemy unit on the battlefield, enemy unit, it can be any of them. And for the rest of the battle, whilst the general was within 6 inches of that bearer of the crown, so the keeper in this instance, their attacks characteristics go down to 1. No buffing, just 1. So kind of cool on that one. He then has the Born of Damnation and Slow Slice Shards. So the Born of Damnation has a casting value of 6. No range on this one because basically you roll 6 dice and for each 4 you gain an extra depravity point. Soul Slice Shards, yeah, I said it right third time. Has a casting value of 5 and range of 12 inches. If it's successfully cast, you pick 1 enemy unit within range and roll 2d6. If the roll is greater than the unit's bravery, the unit cannot issue or receive commands until your next hero phase. He then has the mask in there, doing what we've spoken about before, potential of doing what we've spoken about before. 3 units of 11 archers, 5 seekers, unit of seekers, and then a reinforced group of 10 with 10 slick blade seekers in a battle edge at 1990. And I believe, and he is a 4-drop in this instance because he's also got the command entourage, not warlord. So he's gone with that. Thoughts, Jason?
You know this better than me, but I've fought Keeper of Secrets before. He is strong enough to hold off a lot. This Barb Archers shoot you off the field, basically. It could do really well. I always feel the same way with Slaanesh. It's scary, but I feel like because I played the old book, they fall quite quickly, which probably isn't how they should go how they are now. But I'm just basing it on my previous battles with them, and yeah.
You can potentially see the Keeper of Secrets and Sigvold running side by side because the Keeper of Secrets does still have his ability once per battle, allowing another friendly unit, he can't do it to himself, another friendly unit to strike again in the same phase. So you get Sigvold to charge in, perhaps he gets a really cool charge roll, which means his attacks are way up in the heavens, and the Keeper of Secrets goes, hey, you did so well again. How about you do that a second time? And then he goes again. And with the ability to kind of really hold his ground, he's not going to go disappearing off anytime soon. So it has the opportunity. And to be honest, if the Keeper Secrets is in combat alongside Sigvold, and he has chosen that unit that they're fighting to be the affected unit, they're going to be hitting back with minimal attacks. So it has synergy. It does have synergy. And like you said, Jason, that's 66 shots coming out of Blitzbob Archers each turn. And then 10 Slick Blade Seekers. That is 40 wounds in that unit. Yeah, it has prowess. It really does. Cool list, Warrior Lodge. I hope it does well. Thomas Waller coming in from the Dragon Slayers group. He's bringing the Ogres in on this one with Boulder Head. So I've got notes on this one. So Boulder Head subfaction basically adds 2 to the wounds of his mammoths, and he gets to take 3 mount traits on the hero mammoths if he has enough. Slaughter of Sorcery, kill all those damn wizards, why not? And then, as you would probably expect, this is a Beastclaw Raiders kind of a lineup. So you've got the Frostlord on Stonehorn with the Seat of Alvagar as his artifact. So basically, in this instance, once per battle, in the charge phase, he can do 2 monstrous rampages. He's then also got the Rockmane Elder, which in this instance is the -1 to wound when you're in combat with him, giving him more versatility, more survivability, sorry, not versatility. Another Frostlord on Stonehorn with Metal Cruncher. So in this instance, if you do it to a War Machine or a unit that has a 1-up, 2-up, or 3-up save, they take D6 mortal wounds. That's at the start of the combat phase. He's also then got the Pouch of Null Dust, which is the spell once per battle, +1, +2, +3. It's +1, +2, +3 is miscast. And then his actual general is a Huskard on Thunder Tusk, which is kind of curious, but he's then given him the command trait of High Priest, making him a priest. And then he's got the Rimefrost Hide, which gives him a 5-up ward, and Keening Gale, which is a prayer with a 18-inch range, and basically he can add 3 to a Mammoth or Mournfang unit. He then has a Stonehorn Beast Rider unit, 3 Yetis, which is kind of cool, and another Beast Rider, Thunder Tusk Beast Rider unit, and he brings them all in on a 1-drop at 1950. Is it 1-drop? No, it's a 3-drop. No, it is a 3-drop because the 2 Frostlords are too big to go into a battle rage. Thoughts, Jason?
Lots of impact hits. Lots and lots of impact hits.
Yeah.
They're just going to get in your face and just start stamping on things. High wounds characteristic for each of those models, good saves. You've just got to concentrate on a unit, take them down, and I mean, it sounds strange concentrating on one single Frostlord on Stonehorn, but losing that one Stonehorn could mean a huge loss to his army. That's a quarter of his points gone in one unit.
Yeah.
But yeah, the impact hits are going to be what you can do if you can charge them instead of them charging you. But that's if you can do that. That's the challenge. But no, really nice list. It'll be a good fun one to play actually, play with sort of thing, because there's not much going on. It's just more charge in, stomp, charge a bit more, stomp again, and just keep going.
Yeah, I fought a very similar list with my Gits this past weekend, one when I lost, and it hurts. Those mortal wounds when he's charging in, and because they're on the Stonehorns and everything, they're on a 4-up for the mortal wounds. It's scary. It really caused a lot of issues for me. And I fought Ogres twice, 2 Ogre lists in 3 games, and both of them had Stonehorns or things like that. One of them was pure like Beastclaw Raiders, similar to this sort of nature, and it is a scary list. It very much, and the +2 wounds across the board and everything, they don't go anywhere. It takes a lot to bring them down. So a nice one there. Where does Thomas Waller sit?
5-3-3.
5-3-3. So Thomas, good luck, mate. I think you could do well with that one, and good luck to your team on as you play for them. Final two lists then. We've got Tom May, Tilted Anvil Group with the Gloomspite Gits list. Bring this in with the King's Gits. So slightly different on this one. King's Gits, if I remember, I may actually have to. Actually, Jason, you may have to check this one out for me because I don't know what it is. I think it's the idea that you can attempt to do re-roll your failed Loon Shrine ball pulling, I think. But whilst Jason's checking that, chasing the moon grand strategy, his general has to stay alive and be under the effect of the bad moon for at least 3 battle rounds, which isn't going to be very hard for him considering he has a Dankhold Trog boss with the Alpha Trog giving him +2 wounds and making him a monster, and then giving him the Glowy House It. Exactly what I do. So the Glowy House It, as long as he doesn't roll 1 at the end of the phase, 4 up ward. Have you got it, Jason?
Yeah, exactly as you said it. King's Gits, reroll the dice when used the Bad Moon Loon Shrine's Moon Clan Layers ability, which I'm guessing is the
bring back a unit half strength. And then to help Trog Boss stay under the light of the Bad Moon, Scraggy's in there with Itch. He's put Itchy Nuisance, but Scraggy actually knows all the spells, so that's fine. And then he has a Madcap Shaman with the Moonface Mommet, so that's the -1 additional save to a unit at the start of the combat phase. You choose it, 12 inches, or within 12 inches of the model. And then he's got Merciless Blizzard on there, because why not? It's only 70 points. 6 Rot Guts, 6 Rot Guts, 6 Rot Guts. Then why not? Let's have another Dankhold Troggoth. Spore Splatter Fanatics, and then a Marsh Crawler Sloggoth. He's brought it in with a Battle Rage and Troggoth Heathies, and I believe this one is a 3 drop. And this one is coming in at 1980 as well. Now, before I go to you, I will just say is Marsh Crawler Sloggoth. For anyone who doesn't know, it's an oil with a +1 to hit ability. Spore Splatter Fanatics, 2 ways of using these. One, they can either block line of sight for both your army and the opponents. Be aware of that. I fall prey to that myself, and I foolishly misset up. But the more likely reason he is taking these is as long as a unit is wholly within 9 inches of the Fanatics, they get +1 attacks to their characteristic. So it really helps those Troggoths out. Jason, thoughts?
Very Troggoth heavy. Yeah, Troggoths under the moon get +1 to save, so they just don't go anywhere, ever. You always struggle to take them off the board. I don't know if you said it, but the Dankhold Trog boss, when he issues all-out attack, you get +1 to attack as well. Is that Troggoth only, or is that anything?
Only to the Troggoth units, yeah, if he does it.
That's basically most of his units anyway, so his Troggoths could be getting +2 to attack quite easily. Yeah, I think you're going to have struggle actually killing this list. So there's, for the fact of a Troggoth list, there's a lot of board presence. It doesn't look like that much, but really there is a lot of board presence with this army.
Yeah.
I would struggle with this list. I think it'd be good fun to play against because it's just going to be a weird one to play against.
Yeah, you're right. You got, like you said, the moon giving the +1 to save means that Rockgut Troggoths are on standard 3 up, 5 up. It's 24 wounds on a 3 up, 5 up per squad there. And they do. Admittedly, he hasn't gone Glock's Mega Mob, which is actually kind of curious, but each to their own. But it means that at the start of the hero phase, he can heal them. D3 mortal wounds for each of those, and for the Troggoth and the Dankhold, D6 mortal wounds healing. Yeah, this is going to be a meaty one. If you had to fight this army, I feel sorry for you. I really do, because it's hard. It's hard to shift. But yeah, where does Tom May sit then?
1198.
1198. Okay. So we haven't had that many people low rankings there so far. We've had, been really
high, and
Yeah,
a few sort of mid-tabled
yeah.
sort of thing, but you have got quite a lot of higher ranking people
Yeah,
in this.
no, you do, you do. And then finally, Tom W.H. Bell, bringing in his big WAR list to finish us off. So, his grand strategy is WAR, which means yes, either is general or battle line unit wholly within the enemy territory. He's got the Orc Mega Boss with the skilled leader, so this is an additional command point on a 5-up. He has the Artifact Destroyer, which it makes you shudder when you see it on a war boss, on a mega boss. Adds 3 to the damage of a melee weapon, and as he only has 1 melee weapon, he'll be adding it to that one. It's a little scary, and it's once per battle, admittedly, but still, when he goes in, he will do what he wants to do. Now, he's actually then got 2 named units in here. He's got Gordrak, the Fist of Gork, so there's our Maw Crusher in the army. He's then got Gobsprak in there, the Mouth of Mork, so there's a second monster in this army. And Gobsprak is just, you take him. He's borderline auto-taking a moment. If he dispels a spell against the opponent, they take D3 or D6 mortal wounds, I believe. I can't remember which one it is. It hurts either way. Then you have the typical, as you would expect with most war army lists, 2 Orc War Chanters, one with different type of beats. Wargog Prophet with a glowing tattoo, so it's a 4-up ward save for that little fella. And when he lifts his mask and does the old stink eye at you, it's not a shooting thing, so you can't do anything about it. He just keeps rolling dice, and he basically rolls until A, he dies from it, or B, you die from it. It's fun. Take on.
I was saying that's pretty much it. It's one of the funniest abilities you can have. That one, it's hilarious.
Yeah,
It just says staring at you.
just stares at you. It's crazy. I had it where I played against a friend of mine, and he hurt himself more than he hurt me. And then when I played the Orcs in the recent tournament and everything, he was just clearing models off the board at one point with that, and he took very little damage himself. So it's typical destruction, going one way or the other. He then has a Hoarfrost spell. 10 Orc Brutes, chunky as hell. That's 30 wounds on a 3-up save. 4-up save, sorry, 4-up save. 5 Orc Brutes, 5 Orc Arboys times 4. He then has the Ironjaw's Fist, so his Ard boys there get to do an all-out attack for free, once per battle. Warlord, and then Wizard Finders of Antor, and guess who he's stuck in the Wizard Finders of Antor? But of course, the Orc War Boss and his 2 units of Orc Brutes. Coming in at 1990, 12 drop with 145 wounds. Jason, thoughts?
Ouch. When I fought brutes, they're just hard to get off objectives. It's as simple as that. That there's a lot of wounds, a lot of attack coming back at you. They're just hard to shift. Again, I say that about a lot of stuff, but they really are. Our boys they're all right. They're not as hard to shift at all, but there's still 20 of them. There's still enough there. Don't discount that mega boss. He will appear somewhere suddenly, charge in, and if you imagine +3 to his attack, gives him 8 attacks.
Oh, no, it's +3 to his damage, not his attacks.
Yeah, but it's 8 attacks though.
Oh, okay, sorry.
8 attacks, 3 threes, -1 for 5 damage each. He just vaporizes anything he touches. Oh, and then if he dies, he fights again.
That's fine. Yeah,
so you kind of want to charge him into a couple of big units, destroy one, the other unit to kill your guy, and then he turns around and destroys that unit back again.
And if he synergizes this well as well, Jason, if he gets the Hoarfrost off on him.
Oh, yeah, 3 rend it could be.
What's that?
Wounding
3
on
rend, you
2s.
say? That's potentially, he could take a Gargant down in one go. He could take a 40 wound Gargant down if they all went through and everything ticked the right boxes. So,
but the difference is then if another Gargant kills him, he could turn around and kill another Gargant in that same turn. He kill 1,000 points of Gargant in one turn.
Points. And for 140 points a model, yeah, he might be a general. Sucks a little bit. I'm happy to do that kind of weighing. on that one. Yeah. And then, yeah, did you find out back off back about what?
Yeah, it's D3, and then
Right.
if he rolls above a certain
And
level,
10 plus is D6.
there you go.
Yeah. Because it
Couldn't
happened
remember the
to
number,
me.
but yeah.
He made one of my little goblin wizards go pop in spectacular form. Yeah, I fought a similar army to this. They had actually 3 units of 10 orc brutes when I did the tournament, and they are, like you said, they're just chunky. They're really, they hold their ground, and that's 30 wounds.
Yeah.
So
Hard to shift.
they do well. And there we have it. So he is our last one. Jason, final thoughts at all?
For the whole tournament, I think it's an interesting tournament. You've got a lot of variation in there. You got a couple of the, I don't like using the term so much, but meta Seraphon lists. Then
Hmm.
you've got a lot of lists that you don't normally see, like a couple of really fun Skaven lists. Then they're big call outs at the minute. I'm always going to say OBR because they're my first love of the art of
Yeah.
Age Sigmar. But there is a lot of variation here. It's nice, and there is, like we're saying, there is some really high people. Tom WH Bell, by the
Oh
way,
yeah,
716.
716. Okay, so he's another confident player. Sorry, sorry there, Tom.
So you've got people ranging from all the way, low double figures to low 9,000 sort of thing. So you've got a full selection of armies, player levels there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, absolutely.
kind of want to go, but I couldn't go this weekend. So
Yeah, it's a shame. It's great that we've got our own Kieran going. I'm sure he'll do us proud. My thoughts on this one is this is their fourth part of this, so they've been doing it for the last 3 times. It's going to be really curious to see what comes out from the actual battle plan rolling and everything, because when you and I've looked through the GHB, some of those options aren't as good as the others. But what's with a little bit of luck, you could at least you're going to potentially play something you've never played before. That's what I would say. Overall list though, sound quite cool. Like you said, we got a good mixed array of individuals and talent there, and it's not top level. But with that comes an element of pleasure, I have to admit, from myself, because you know that everyone's going in to try and do their best, but at the same time have a good time. Yeah, so unless you have anything else to say, Jason, at all?
not this time.
No.
We'll see where this one actually does over the weekends. See those Skaven players start blowing enemies up and then killing themselves.
Yeah, like I said, this will be on Rob's Honest Wargamer stream. He does it on Twitch here as well. Check him out. He's called the Honest Wargamer, and every Monday he does a stats center where he goes through any 2-day tournaments globally. And he talks about the army list. They go 5-0 and 4-1. So well worth a watch. Great laugh and everything, and the audience gets involved as well. So he it's something to get involved in. Certainly give him a try. But I just want to say though to the team running this is thank you so much for letting us review your lists on this one. I will speak with Kieran to see if he wants to kind of do like an after show debrief on this tournament as well, like we're doing with Savage Hammer. And if he does, then we'll do a second stream on this one just to go over some of the more selected lists that we'll pick out. But I want to say to all your attendees and everything, good luck for the weekend. And I hope you have a really good time. And may the best team win. Go Gloomspite. But thank you so much for staying with us through this. And watch out for next week where we will be doing a couple more streams. I just want to say on that front as well, we will be doing potentially a Battletome review if I can get the people lined up. And we will definitely be doing a debrief on the Savage Hammer tournament that took place a couple of weeks back. Thanks for watching and see you again.
See you later.